Yeah, I don't even see noise suppression. Is that better?
Nah, it's still about the same. I think it'd be all right.
Oh, well, then it wasn't the fan. It's the system, and I can't fix it right now. Go.
It's Friday, my dudes.
Happy Friday, my friend.
Here's a message of importance to millions of people who are continually pale and washed out, weak and run down. Doctors will tell you that these conditions are often caused by a deficiency of iron. The iron you need to keep you physically fit and mentally alert. Medical studies show that 2 out of 3 women and many, many men lack the daily iron your body requires in a form your body can easily use and put to work. Every dose gives you more than your daily minimum iron requirement.
We are awake, we are awake, we are not alone. We are striving for more.
So if you're not getting the iron your body needs,
We are awake, we are not alone.
if you feel weak, run down, and are easily upset,
We are striving for more.
start taking iron today.
TGIF, everybody. Welcome to Have No Sphere right here in the Iron Roll Media YouTube channel. My name is Josh Corey, and we've got a really good show for you today. It's one I've actually been looking forward to since, well, it's been a couple weeks since we'd originally planned to have this one, but we're going to make it happen tonight. Let's start off by saying hello to the fellas, mainly because Cammie's not feeling well, and she's not going to be joining us, so we'll say hello to the fellas. Starting off with Mr. Zachary Zabala. You might know him as Good Times for All here on the YouTubes. Zach, how the hell are you doing?
Hey there, Josh. Hello, everybody. Yeah, not too shabby. Just gearing up for Flattoberfest. It's getting close. I'm getting excited. I got this year, so we're not speaking so much during presentations because people still come up. I'm gonna have just a little sheet out, maybe laminate it. Have a picture and some writing and explaining what each thing is and does and blah blah blah. So we can just do more playing and less talking, I guess. But that's the plan. But yeah, excited for tonight's show. We chatted about it a little bit earlier today. Yeah, this should be a good one. This one, and it's like everything else. Once you are awakened to the fact that you were lied to about something so grand a scale as the shape of the earth, it's easy to see the lies and deceptions where there might not be some without, research. It's easy to see something that looks like a lie, but then when you actually go and research it, you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess I was wrong. And it's almost like it's harder for people, to admit that they were fooled about being fooled. I don't know how to say it, but yeah, it's weird. But tonight's guest is gonna help break open the whole jet fuel hoax that has been going around for a while now.
It
And this
is.
is one of his pet peeves. And yeah, it's good that people are doing this. Let's debunk, the hoaxes that are not really hoaxes.
It is one of
That
those
can only
things
hurt us.
that is really sort of. It's not been a big thing on my radar. I heard about it, but seems like we would have heard something before now if this were actually really a thing. But compared to some of the other stuff I was looking into, I just couldn't get a chance to prioritize it very high on my list of shit I was looking into. So it just never really was a thing for me. But I was watching all of these people just jump right in head first, just doing it. Oh yeah, it's all fake. I mean, they all run on compressed air. It's just there's no fuel at all. And that was the big red flag, if anything, was just people's willingness to just say it. And I get it. When you spend so much time defending the flat earth, it's hard to look at something else and be like, oh yeah, well, I was wrong about that. But this I am right about. And that's just the way it is with everything. You have to learn to eat that humble pie, learn to appreciate the taste.
Humble pie is good. Humble pie means that you just learned something.
Just learned. That's right.
Yes, humble pie is good. Enjoy the taste. Give me more.
It is an acquired taste for sure.
Yes, it is.
Let's head over and say hello to Mr. Walter Johnson. You might know him from the Melodome recently when he did an appearance with Bob over there in Awesome Austin, and James from Grounded Extracts talking about life after death. Or you might just know him from his jamming on his guitar and all the other cool shit he puts out there on his Flat Earth Head channel here on YouTube's. Walter, how the hell are you?
I am here. It is Friday, my dudes. I don't know. You're pulling your microphone away. Am I hot?
You are only in my left channel.
Dude, I give up at this point. Truly, I do. I may have to bow out. I'm kidding. I won't. But I won't be talking much. I don't know. They've done a Zoom update, people. I know y'all get tired of hearing us bitch about these devices that we have so much fun with. But yeah, they literally changed it to a new app. It's completely redesigned. Nothing's where it used to be. All the drivers have changed. My sound, as you apparently hear on the left channel only now, which wasn't the problem prior to us. I see you checking it. Prior to us going live, that wasn't even an issue. Apparently that's developed once we hit the button, Frank. Anyway, I'm here. It was a great show Wednesday. If you missed it, go hang out with Austin. You should be hanging out with Austin and James anyway. They're fucking amazing over there. But yeah, we had a blast and brought up some of the questions from that show all over here to this morning's Friday show over there on Ironworx and had a good little discussion. And yeah, that's enough of my yapping with one sound of one hand clapping or whatever the fuck. I'll shut up and we'll let Ted talk. You see what I did there? All right, here he is. I'll shush.
I do have about 10% maybe on that right channel. It's really weird.
I mean, there's no left right anywhere on this system.
I
Like
know.
on anywhere in my system do I have a left right slider for anything. So yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, Walter the Imbalanced.
Well,
That's
before we get
nice.
to Ted, real quick,
Sorry.
how was your day, Josh?
Oh, mine is so quiet, so uneventful because it's a long weekend. We have Monday off.
Oh, that's true. Nice.
That's right.
Yeah, Shell was off today and she'll be off Monday too. So very
Boss
nice.
leave early?
He did.
Nice. Did you leave early?
I did. Well, I left early because
Nice.
he wasn't going to leave early. It was just basically going to be him and me there at the end of the day, and him just waiting for me to decide to leave. So I got to a point where I could sensically stop and pick it up again on Tuesday when I come back. So I just did it. Said, all right, I'll just stop here. That way I can leave, let my boss get out here a little bit early, because that's the nice kind of guy I am. Selfless, a completely selfless act of leaving work 2 hours early. So I filled out the paperwork, went and dropped it on his desk, and his ass was already gone. So he didn't give a shit. He wasn't staying one way or the other. So I just left and said, like, shout out to Marky Rizzo, who gets 5 days off. Lucky.
Nice.
And a big shout out to Billy Ray Valentine,
Much love.
who I'm going to say it might be possible something happens tonight. I don't know. This is weird because as soon as I had confirmed with Zach that we were going to have Ted on this week, my plan was then to reach out to BRV and see if BRV wanted to come on next Friday. And that would give me a chance to get stuff downloaded and backed up and all the stuff I need to get done before we actually have him on for this big show that we have been planning for a few years. So that was the plan. Next week, we're going to have BRV on, and then BRV reached out via text to Walter and I, talking about maybe trying to do something tonight, talking about the moon or something. So I don't know. You just never know. You just never can tell. But aside from that, all of that excitement, let's jump right in and say hello to tonight's guest. He doesn't put out a whole lot of, say, content on his YouTube channel per se, but you'll definitely find him there in the chat rooms, floating around all the various live streams. You'll see him in the comment sections on all the other video channels, videos that are uploaded. Hell, you might even catch him on a live stream with Karen B from time to time. Everybody, welcome Ted Sommer to Have No Fear in the Iron Realm. Ted, it is an absolute pleasure to have you here. It is a long time coming.
Thanks, John, for the intro. Hey, guys. Happy Friday and all that good stuff. Yeah, I know it sucks, scheduling kind of was a little askew here and had to reschedule, but, I'm here now, so.
Yeah, that was me. I had to take a week off.
All good.
But I'm glad you made it. I'm glad you finally did come on. It's a conversation we wanted to have because you seem just like such a laid back, down to earth guy, the kind of guy that you would totally just be able to kick your feet up and have a couple beers, smoke a couple jibs, and just get into some really badass conversations. So, in the spirit of that, I think I'm going to go grab some papers and get ready for tonight's conversation.
Sounds awesome.
Hey, before you leave there, Josh, push the button over on Rock Band if you wouldn't mind, sir. I know. I do my best to look early, and I didn't because of all my audio issues. I didn't check early this time. My apologies. That's all good. We got it going. Sorry, Rock Band. Tom, I see you there, brother. That's why I was checking on you guys. I know y'all are holding it down, you and Brian and Andrew. What's up, Brian Stabley? I see you going over there, brother. Anyway, yeah, I'll shut up now that we got that going.
I was so concerned with my Seals and Croft that I just totally forgot about Rockfin.
Well, we did have it. Some summer breeze, and I feel fine.
All right. I'm going to go grab them jibs. You guys have fun.
All right, cool deal. Well, Ted, first and foremost, if you don't mind asking, since I don't know at all much about you, friend, except what I've gathered, talking to Karen and Zach, and the few things I have seen, content-wise. I went digging around this morning trying to find some photos or just whatever to throw up for a thumbnail or some type of promotional material, whatever I could come up with. And as I was digging around on your Facebook page there, I found a little comedy routine that I got quite a few chuckles from, sir. So is that just a one-time off thing, or is that part of your wheelhouse?
Oh, no. Oh, man, you scrambled through like old video.
I dug, dude. That's what I said. I was just
ago.
digging around looking for shit, seeing what I could find, and there was a video, so I clicked on it and like, hey, that looks like a nightclub setting. It was.
Yeah, that was a one-off open mic night in a place back in Western Washington when I was living there, and I thought, okay, I'll give this a shot and see what happens. And yeah, it's a completely different experience because I've sang karaoke for well over a decade. Just something to ease my mind, decompress, all that good stuff after a week's work and whatnot. But I tried attempting to do comedy, and sometimes it's more ad lib than anything that I can do. But if I'm like put on the spot and like
And some
get.
people are more natural funny than like joke funny, but I could feel the rhythm. It was definitely needed a little polish, but dude, yeah, definitely something you could keep in your wheelhouse as a thought. And then I did see a couple like pictures that either front man or at least singing some karaoke.
Oh
So,
yeah, that was a place in Tacoma, Washington.
nice.
They have the rockaroke, where they have like a live band playing, and they have like a whole bunch of songs you can choose
Oh,
from.
epic. I did something similar in Oregon a few years ago. They called it Karaoke from Hell, and they had a live band that played your song, and it was freaking amazing. It was great. Yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of that one. Well, man, hopefully I'll be able to get over there in you guys' area one time. I don't know that this will be the time, but I'm doing everything. Let's not get into that. The whole point is one day me and you're going to jam, brother. I love to sing some karaoke.
Yeah,
I'm really great with other people's shit. It's mine I struggle with. And my cat is quite vocal. She's going to interrupt me quite a bit tonight. And I'm talking on one channel. Zach, why don't you do some more talking and let me see if I can mess with my audio in a different way? I may even drop out and come back in maybe after Josh is back at the helm. I don't know, guys. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so Ted, why don't you tell us a little bit about your flat Earth journey? When did you first hear about flat Earth?
Surprisingly enough, I actually heard about flat Earth probably at the very tail end of 2015 from a friend of mine who's I've known him from then and a couple years prior, and he reached out to me and he was saying, it's like, I like what you post on Facebook and this and that, and we've hung out numerous times and chatted and all this good stuff, but we never really got like super deep into anything really. And he's like, all right, it's like, you're open-minded, all this good stuff. He sends me a link to some flat Earth video. I wish I could remember the name of it, whatever it is, because I scroll through Messenger trying to find it. I'm like, oh, there's the video, but I'm like, oh, wait, it's not available anymore. But anyway, it got the gears turning for me for sure. But I didn't get a chance to actually watch it till like end of winter time 2016, and so like around March or so that I actually like had free time enough to actually watch it, because during that winter and all that stuff I was working 2 jobs and I barely had time to even eat.
Yeah, the last thing on your mind was watching the flat Earth video that your buddy shared with you. Yeah,
And
because did you think it was the stupidest thing, but you were gonna give it, I'll watch it, but yeah, this is dumb. I'm not gonna rush out and watch it right this second.
well, I never really clicked on it until like that day. I'm like, okay, but then when I finally had the time to do so, and then I was hooked because it just kind of reaffirmed all these memories from all the times I've flown when I was younger, when I was 10 and between like 10 and 15 or so, or even younger. I could be looking out the window and see a flat horizon for as far as the eye can see.
Wasn't it so disappointing? I thought when I was gonna fly, I was like 9 years old. I thought I'm gonna get to see the curve of the Earth, and I got up there and it was just flat. That was the first question I asked. Like, where's the curve? Why don't I see the curve of the Earth? Oh, we're not high enough. And when your parent tells you something like that, you're like, oh, okay. I guess we're just not tall enough.
Yeah, just kind of roll with it like that, I guess. But yeah, then I would look across the aisle and look out that window. And I'm like, oh, whoa, it's flat over there. I'm like, okay, so these thoughts rose in the back of my head for X amount of decades, I guess. Never really thought about it until, I started questioning events and this and that in my mid 20s and learning about some deceptions. So by the time we get to 26, fast forward to 2016, I'm like, okay, a lot of stuff that we've been told about, politics, finances, this and that, events, whatever else, is all a lie. So step into flat Earth. I'm like, I'm willing to give it a shot. Let's see what you have here, because we're taught all these things about the heliocentric model and when we were a child, but we kind of put it on the back burner and forget about it because you ask any random person on the street any basic question about the globe Earth model, and they're like, they glitch out or something.
Yeah, and there's proof of that. I mean, we're not just saying that. You can go watch any of Austin Witzett's live streams. He was offering $100 if people could answer 3 simple questions about the globe. One of them was, how many times does the globe rotate per day? I mean, we're talking simple questions. And I don't think anybody took his money the whole time he was out there.
Actually, there was like one time, but it was in New York. I remember it was in Times Square, but the thing was, it was from a fellow flat earther, and he just gave it back to him.
Oh, that's too funny.
It's the only ones who will ever who know the globe Earth model is the flat earthers, because we questioned it, we put it up to the test, we read everything that they say it is and where it comes from, all these orbital trajectories, velocities, sizes, gravitational forces, etc., yada yada yada, and then we see this. And I'm like, yeah, you guys. I mean, I've asked people at work this too.
Were you in the chat perhaps that day, Ted, when I was telling everybody about the new gravity-based video game where you literally put planets into orbit around gravitational wells and black holes and see that it never can work unless it's the sheerest few seconds of orbit and then it all flies apart?
Oh,
I'll send you a link. Yeah, it's epic. I'll send you a link here after the show or during the show. It'll be in the chat. Give me a few minutes.
Okay, that is something. But yeah, because then people don't really think about that when they when they're
when they get thrown, when somebody shows them that blackboard full of numbers and cosines, and they go, "Oh, okay, well that must work because I'm not going to figure this shit out."
No, I know. It's smarter people figured this out. I just play the game. I don't care. But yeah, it's definitely been a trip since Flat Earth, and like when I was like finally pondering on it, just be reflecting and thinking about it all the time, every day. Past that first video, then I got watching different videos when I like stumble upon like ODD, Globebusters, Jaredism, Karen, all these people, and then like, whoa, there's a whole new world out there I didn't know about. This is crazy, but I love it. And it did kind of suck at first. You're realizing, okay, Earth's geocentric, it's stationary, it's immovable, the sky rotates around you. We may not know everything because we have to basically tear down everything we've ever been taught and rebuild from there and try and figure it out that way. But of course, we have the Antarctic Treaty, which prohibits any everyday average citizen from going below the 60th south parallel, and then you have to jump through all these hoops of fire in order to even walk on Antarctica, unless you plan on doing one of their $40,000 a pop pre-planned trip.
Right, led around by the nose type situation.
No, it's like you can go here, here, and here, and here's a ceremonial pole, not specifically the South Pole, but it's a pole, and it's got all these flags, and you'll love it, and take a picture and shut the hell up and go on your way.
Yeah, you might as well have a leash on, right?
Mm-hmm. Silly. Yeah, so then, so for that, and I didn't go public about it until, like a year and a half later. And I was like, I made a big old stink on it on Facebook, and then my phone's blowing up every second. I'm like, oh, what did I do? What did I do? Yeah.
Back in the day, it was, that's why Mark Sargent always said, first rule about Flat Club is you don't talk about Flat Club.
Yeah, it was that way, but I think we've worked on.
Well, yeah, now we have a lot of the answers. So it's, I mean, when I first heard about this, I went out like 2 days later and told my optometrist, some guy I'd never met before. He probably thought, wow, that was the craziest person I've met this week.
Right.
Yeah, and then when people ask you questions, well, what about this? Well, I don't know. It's just flat. You sound like a nut job. So yeah, it was good advice, I believe. Mark telling people, hey, until we have some of the answers, at least some of them, like that you can answer the basics, the 21 questions everybody asks. Even if it is, I don't know, and you have a reason for not knowing, that's still better than, not knowing anything at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good advice. I took it a little too late though. Yeah, I burned some bridges early. We'll say that.
Yeah, same. It's like it ended relationships, it ended friendships, it ended a whole bunch of things. I think the funniest part of it all was that day. I can remember this perfectly. The day I made that post on Facebook, and later that day I was helping like a good friend of mine who is super blue pill move, helping him and his family move. I'm like, he was probably wondering like why I'm on my phone like a retard the entire time when I'm not lifting some heavy stuff around or whatnot. But it's like I can't tell him that. I'm like, this will be weird. But I mean, I mean, the last time one of the last times I saw him was when I came back from visiting Karen for the last time before moving out here to North Carolina. And he's driving in, he's wearing his N95 mask. And I'm like, why are you wearing that? You take it off, dude. You're out in the open here. Let's relax. He did. And we just didn't really discuss beyond that. But yeah, I realized that if I said anything to him, any remote deceptional type topic, he'd be the kind who would glitch out first easily. And yeah.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. You got to know who you can tell. I just found myself in a conundrum a little bit recently. One of my buddies who had asked me a couple years ago about it. For some reason, I have the urge to tell him now. But, he was married. I know his wife, went to school. We all went to school together. Had a 4-year-old. And I don't think his wife would have been able to accept this.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be in, the reason that they split up.
That it might have split them, right?
Yeah. So I just told him, if you really want to know, man, you're going to have to go look. And I felt like such a dick saying that to him. But at the same time, I did it out of love. It wasn't because, I know a secret I don't want to tell you. It was, dude, I don't want to turn your world upside down and inside out. And yeah.
Did you explain that to him, Zach? Did you let him know? Like, I really want to just lay this out for you, but I'm afraid that this is going to cause some friction in your personal life. So I don't want to be responsible. So if you want to blow shit up, you go right ahead, but I don't want my name anywhere near this.
No, I didn't.
Nope, just said, fuck it, go look for yourself.
Well, his wife was sitting right there,
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, no, bud. I was like, you're smart. You can figure it out. If you want to know, go figure it out. But yeah, now I've had the urge recently to just tell him, send him to one of Dave's interviews and be like, here, listen to this.
I do pretty good, except when people get real cocky about shit they don't
know.
No,
I'd send him to a good one for sure. I can't stand 10 minutes of the cocky bastards who know everything except for anything about the globe. The thing they're defending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes I prefer to burn a bridge. If it's a bridge I'm never going to cross, if all I'm going to do is drive by and look at it, sometimes I don't mind just throwing a torch that way and see what happens.
Like, I'll build a new bridge.
Right.
So when did you and Karen first meet, Ted? Was it in a
comment?
Do you want that story?
Right, I knew it was going to happen, Ted. I didn't do it. I just want that on record. I didn't pull that pin.
Or was it at Denver? Because I remember you were at Denver.
I wasn't at Denver. I was only at Dallas.
You were at Dallas. Yeah, the first time I met you were at Dallas.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep. That was good times. No, we'd actually been talking since mid-May of 2019. I had like a tiny, I don't know. I don't even know why I made these, but I started a little Facebook group, whatever, like a little Flat Earth Fitness or whatever, just trying to help people motivate. We would show them some little exercise things, share some videos, see how people's progression may go, little fitness journeys, etc., yada yada. And invited Karen into it. She joined. I had a few people in there, people I know, this and that, whatever. And just kind of roll with it and see how it went. And it didn't really go too much, but eventually, what happened was Karen was like the only one in like my little one would be live stream, I guess. And so I was just like, okay, well, why don't I just stop this and I get a hold of you instead? And then, a couple hours of serious anxiety, stress, and everything going through the roof at the moment. I I gave myself a little bit of liquid courage in order to make sure I can do this right and not fuck up. And she's cool as hell. And, we ended up chatting for 4.5 hours. And
That's awesome.
Very awesome.
yeah,
you guys are great together.
The energy, right? I was also trying to the energy I get when I see you guys together. I was looking at photographs and it was just beaming out of the photo. You guys seem very happy, man. I'm glad for you.
Yeah.
Glad for my Squatch sis.
Yeah, exactly. I know. She got me to that as well when I never experienced it. I never experienced Sasquatch until I came to Caroline.
That's so epic, man. I wanted to go see you guys. Yes.
And man, you'll feel some interesting energy, or you might see a silhouette or something, because I know Bob said he saw one leaving Flattoberfest of 2019, leaving Karen's house, I guess. So he saw some like big black dark image crossing in front of the driveway. I'm like, whoa. And it's like, it was no deer. I'm like, oh dang. But I think really my first experience though, like a Squatch, would have probably been actually it was 2019, but it was 2019, 2018, whatever. I was visiting my folks over in northern Idaho. It was my mom and stepdad, and they have a nice little property. It's like five acres, but they have a fence about maybe 150 feet out from their back porch. It's dark, and I'm hearing stuff like a tree, like something's like forcibly like rubbing against the tree. I'm like, I don't know if this is a deer, because why would a deer be doing this at midnight?
Yeah, deer usually aren't out in the middle of the night like that. They're sleeping at midnight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I did what any person, not knowing what the heck is out there. I put out my cigarette and I slowly backed away inside the house and closed the door and locked it really fast. Like, I don't know what the heck that is, but it's probably bigger than me.
I'm not gonna wait around and find out.
It's like, and I try to be peaceful and harmonious with animals of all sorts and sizes nowadays. If that's one thing, flat Earth and understanding there's a creator and all that, and we're all of creation, is treat everything with the same respect that you hope to. And I just like you, Zach, I try not to step on a bug accidentally or do something silly like that. I mean, I just try to be at peace with nature as much as I can. But at this point, hearing what I heard that distance at that time, yeah, I'm just gonna, you do you, dude. I'm gonna do me.
Let me ask you, Ted. It sounds like you were already pretty, nature oriented, but meeting Zach and getting some of that Zach energy, has that got you just amplified now? Hugging trees, talking to bugs, all of it.
Yeah, very much so. It's like
This guy's got me herding spiders out of my house, and I was the spider killer, brother. I hated spiders. I still don't like them, but we can share space, and I can move them along peacefully now without destroying them. So yeah, that's a huge improvement, Zach. Thank you.
Yeah, Zach is definitely got me into gardening more so, along with our mutual friend Carrie Musgrave. Between her and Zach, it's like I learned a buttload of information about the soil, about the ground, all that stuff needed to make sure you have a good, decent harvest. And I've been learning on my own, doing what I can, trying to figure out the whole alchemy of life, and making sure everything's all in a nice, beautiful state, so that plants grow. Give them love, talk to them, do whatever you can. I guess I do that. I talk with all the animals, and I'm sure Kara would probably butt in to say how Remy, her dog, is mind controlling me. He's a sweet dog, and it's like, yeah, I know he's been through a lot, but I have my breaking point too. It's like it's like I understand, buddy,
he is
but
such a good guy.
Oh, he is, except around other animals.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we have chickens and gardens and this and that, and trying to make the best of it. And now we have feral cats too that came to our property at the end of last year, and we've still been taking care of them. Go ahead,
Luna and Gus.
You got Luna, Sid, and
Sid.
Morris.
Morris, yeah. I've only seen Morris once. He's not the social type.
He is not. And judging for the fact that him and the little black one, Luna, little girl, they both have clipped ears, opposite ears, signifying, they're neutered or spayed and whatnot. So we know they're good, but we have Sid, who's the crazy tomcat, who's out and about and doing what he does best, I guess. But yeah, they're all cool cats. They've kept the rodent and pest under control. Works. Yeah, but
So birds apparently are a thing from a photograph I saw of you.
going on hikes and whatnot. Yeah, you just put a little bit of food and the birds will come to you.
That's epic, guy.
Yeah, it's always kind of weird, like seeing like me, like a semi-gentle giant, doing all that. Kind of, it's like But yeah, I was always, also a crazy little gym rat, and it was just something for me to do, make myself feel better about myself, and try,
Well, I had a question earlier before we got sidetracked with my bad audio. What is your go-to warm-up karaoke song?
Oh man, oh shit. Maybe "Hooked on a Feeling" by Blue Swede.
Oh,
For
nice.
a warm-up, that's no joke.
That's jumping in, right? That's
Well,
like when I
or-
warm up on Journey Lights. Everybody's like, "That's your
Oh, I know.
warm-up song." I'm like, well,
I warm up with Metallica, then I
Hey,
no.
hey. Now that loosens the vocal cords up for damn sure.
Oh yeah. Or if I
Like
want,
a good, yeah.
that's also kind of funny. Speaking of Metallica, when me and Karen went to Atlanta to see Deftones and hang out with Stefan and everything.
That's fucking amazing too, man.
That was I got to meet James Hetfield's son.
That's
that's
even
cool.
crazier. I wouldn't even have thought that would have been a thing to happen.
I didn't either. I'm like,
That's
here's this
crazy.
guy. Here's this. I'm like, whoa, that's cool. But I realized that, and I got to hang out with, like, the first night we arrived and stuff. Me and Karen met up at the tour bus where Stefan was, and he was just chilling, chatting with the lead singer's cousin, I believe it was. And we'd come in there, we hang out, chatting, end up doing a shot of Jameson with Chino, their lead singer. I'm like, well, this is so cool.
Hell yeah.
Did they mention anything about Flat Earth? Did they know that you knew Stefan through that?
I think that's how kind of Stefan was introducing us. It's like, oh, that's like our Flat Earth friends and such.
That's awesome. Heck yeah.
Yeah, and Stefan's he's just an awesome, chilled guy. We went.
We'll have to talk off the air about getting him on with us, man. Hint.
Gotcha.
All right, don't.
But I was also impressed with the fact that he eats almost as much as I do.
That's a big guy, though.
Yeah, right. We're similar in size.
Yeah. Well, see, I haven't met you in person, so I can't really. I mean, just photographs. That's all.
Yeah.
And a few videos here and there. But
yeah, it's
that's,
like.
I see Carrie in chat. I was introducing myself as Stefan's Flat Earth friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
It's like Karen reached out to him, and boom.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. That's been a great experience and lots of cool stuff.
Well, you've obviously checked out more than Flat Earth.
Oh yeah.
And before we get to the topic at hand, what are some of the other rabbit holes that have piqued you?
Yeah, that was
what
I
fixed my
wanted
audio at all, by the way? I meant to ask when I.
Yes.
It's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Ted, like when the No Trees on Flat Earth came around, what did you think about that one?
I didn't marry the idea. It would be a possibility. I don't know. It's like I haven't really gone out venturing. I mean, I've seen large trees. I lived in the Evergreen State for most of my life, but I've never seen Devil's Tower. I didn't know anything about crystal. I don't know. I mean, I learned a lot about crystals because of you, Cammie, and Karen. So I'm like, okay, well now I've got a better hold on things, it seems, or at least I have a better understanding and an idea of what this may all be about. But I can't say like there's no trees. I'm like, that's just ridiculous. Large trees, sure, There's trees that are documented being like 6,000. I don't know if it's true or not. Whatever. I can only attest for anything that's like 42 years old, since that's
Yep.
how old I am.
That's how I look at it. Yep. Okay. Yeah. So,
And,
what are some of the other ones that came out after Flat Earth?
after Flat Earth, probably like that, Mandela Effect.
What about the Mandela? That one.
Oh, I know it's like a big subjective topic, and not everyone jives with it, or they don't jive with everything, and that's perfectly fine.
It's gotten to where any topic has become a hot button topic. It's everybody.
I know.
Way to make it divide them, man, and I don't get it anymore. Sorry, let's don't get on that because there we go dividing again. But go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. I know. It's just like they divide us. They divide the normies into dividing the truthers.
I know. It's like, come on, guys. At some point, we got to get it together.
I know. Anyway. Can't we all just get along? But hey, that's a Mandela effect right there. He doesn't say that.
That's not what he said. Well, I knew that wasn't what he said when they started saying it on all the comedy shows, because I followed that story quite closely.
Oh, nice. See, well, there's that.
And to me, that's a lot of it, is that there's the cultural people get a hold to something, it turns into what the culture remembers, not the actual thing. And that's what happened to a lot of it. And I know, being a karaoke person, you probably did just like I did. No. The Queen song ends on that offbeat. That's the whole point of the song structure. Just some of that stuff just drives me nuts. Anyway, yeah, go ahead, man.
So again, I didn't really look too much into it. It wasn't until Brian and Karen started doing shows together that reintroduced into it, and then I'm like seeing all this, I'm like, what the heck? This is crazy. So, but but the only one that could really, for 100% for sure stick is like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and I watched it. I watched that stuff.
What? As kids,
every day. Watch.
Well, mine's always the Bears, because I noticed the change before the internet. And it was, to me, it was just a whole anti-Semitic, we don't want that name anymore type situation in my mind, and I moved on. It wasn't a big, what happened? Why is it different? Dun, dun, dun.
No. It's like
Aries diffraction. That was mine. Where I was like, wait a minute.
Crazy.
I studied that for 6 months, like daily. Now you're telling me it doesn't exist? No. Now it's Fraunhofer diffraction, which I've never heard of. And I've been researching diffraction for 6 months. And I'm just now hearing, nope. Nobody's going to change my mind about this one. Nope. Nothing anybody could say.
Sure. Or, I can't think of his name. Ed McMahon or whatever.
Oh, yeah. That's just crazy.
Yeah. I used to watch those commercials all the time. Nothing really, I don't understand why, he worked for Family Publishers or whatever, how they changed it. I'm like, I remember the commercials of him with Dick Clark. I remember him being there at the door, and then you have, if this is not real, then why the heck is he doing this parody rap where he's wanting his checks back?
Yeah.
Or the one where Johnny presented the check to him.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Or the mentioning of it in Golden Girls. All that good stuff. But yeah, let's say, after, like Mandela Effect, like, okay, and then you learn about all these wonderful shootings. I'm not going to go into each one, but
planned events, perhaps.
Yeah, all these planned events, and you see how sports are like basically all just rigged, essentially, to some level or another.
A feel-good story. Yeah, New Orleans wins the Super Bowl right after Katrina.
Yeah, no. It's reignite the spark in those of all the citizens of New Orleans. Like, we will rise again because the Saints won the Super Bowl.
We're NOLA strong.
Thank good Lord. And then, I have, my daily 9 to 5 grind. Well, it's not really daily, but most of the work week, whatever. I have to deal with all the normies, and every time the TV's on in the break room, like, oh, this is so painful. Everyone's like, just see them all fixated on watching the television, seeing the sports, seeing all these commercials and ads, and I'm all seeing is propaganda consumed by worship, false idols, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, this is too much.
I might have missed it while I was out getting papers and such. How is it that you pimp yourself out on a daily basis?
Oh, I'm awesome, forklift driver, such over at Dole here in North Carolina. So yeah, I'm the big crazy dumb flat earther who's like the
Who's on
smartest
the
guy in
forklift?
the building.
Flying around on the forklift.
Hey, these are like the really crazy big lifts. These are the fun stuff ones. Like
2 axles.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with forklifts. I didn't know about these things until I actually worked there, but they're called turret trucks, I guess. They're, if you look up like Crown TSP, it's like the whole body raises with a sideways facing forks that can pivot around to grab. They're used to like grab pallets off aisles that you may have. So you basically have a big ass anxiety attack going at 5 miles an hour in a 9.5 ton vehicle that can raise up and grab pallets.
Oh
It's
yeah,
very,
I just looked it up. Oh yeah,
Me
I
too.
watched a dude
Those
have
things
a
are fun.
nervous breakdown in I think it was a Lowe's at the top trying to get something, and he just went into a place where he was freaking it. Get me down, get me
Mhm.
down. I was
Yeah.
like, what the hell? Sure, he's freaking out.
Mm-hmm. But me, I'm like OCD kind of a guy, so it's like I have so much fun. So I'm like always trying to like learn how to manipulate the system on these things so that I can use it in my favor to go faster than the next guy, even though they're basically limited to 5 miles an hour. But every vehicle, regardless of electric or gas or whatever, they all have their little quirks and quips that you can figure out and understand and just kind of roll with it. But yeah, I know I'm the old school analog kind of a guy.
Gotta shave the weight, make it lighter.
Yeah, if I did that, I'm probably like one of the lighter guys there. I mean, shit. You want to see like the statistics of America? You just gotta like work. It's like everyone has, everyone's like on, not everyone, but there are specific people that may be on like medication, or people that are overweight. People have predisposition to injuries or just ailments and all this stuff. I'm like, how? And then I look back at myself and I'm thinking, man, I feel like the only 42-year-old here, or the only person here who's probably not any kind of a medication of sort. It's just weird to me. And I just thought, how did you guys F up yourselves so bad to where you're living pharmaceutically?
You're the pariah because you're on drugs, smoking a natural plant.
I know, right?
They're on medication, and that's fine.
And what do you know about viruses anyway? You're not a doctor.
I know. I don't have a white lab coat. Well, actually, I do have a white lab coat, but I need to wear that for any activism if I have some time to do so.
What makes you think you know anything about health? I mean, the doctor that gave me all these pills for me to be healthy, and look at you, you're not on any. You can't be healthy.
I know, right? It's like, how dare you? Enter Greta Thunberg. I know. So like, here's a funny story about me. It's like I didn't know the term meds until I was 22. I didn't know about bipolar. I didn't know about any of all these things. So I guess I was in a daze, or I was just bored yesterday. But between like high school and mid-20s, I'm like, what happened to the world? Everyone's on pills, and then you start looking into things, and you're wondering, oh, that's why.
Right.
Everyone's being fed this copious amounts of crap, and they have all these false realities being passed off as how to live life, and they just go with it. And I don't know, they've
Makes
become
them
drug
insane,
zombies.
Right. It makes
When's
them
the last
insane.
time,
They can't
if
live
you don't
with
mind
it,
me
so they have
asking,
to
Ted?
medicate. Sorry, goes that.
I was just going to say, if you don't mind me asking, when's the last time you went and saw like a doctor, not a surgeon or something like that, but just like a regular doctor? It's almost 20 years for me now.
Right, you got maybe like for like a checkup.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not like a physical for work or something you had to do, but
yeah, like you went on your own because of this.
yeah.
Well, let's see. It was probably like maybe 6 years ago, but that is at this point that I really realized how dumb the medical industry is. So when I came in there, I had like a bad shoulder, and like I kind of figured out what's going on, like, or well, not really what's going on, but understanding like how to take care of it. And like, that you guys gonna like tell me something that I don't know? And like, wow, I'm getting charged all this money to be told exactly what I was thinking already. I'm like, thanks for nothing. It's like shoulder issue. Like, okay, I'll just won't use it. I'll be easy at the gym. I'll ice it. I'll stretch it. I will, rub any ointments that I can that can help inflammation. And I'll be happy, and surprisingly enough, I was. And now that learning about flat Earth, learning about how the misuse of the medical system and how it's just there to get people on a 24/7, 365 for life relationship with your medical care professional, and realizing that once you're on their drugs, these are hardcore drugs because you get off of them, you die. It seems, and
yeah, exactly.
Because
cannabis is a phase 1 or a stage 1 narcotic, and has killed 0 people.
Unless you're in possession of it and the police shoot you because you had it. That's the only time you die.
That happens all the time. But I'm saying the actual marijuana itself, or withdrawing from it somehow. I mean, this happens with alcohol, heroin. I'm not sure about cocaine, but I know heroin, you can die from the withdrawals.
Yeah. Shit. I remember those commercials. Well, I mean, this is like, mainstream propaganda for that, but I probably have an idea to be something to that extent, like people getting off heroin, what it's like. But I also know it's like with people on heroin, because what I used to do before, working over in here and back in Washington, I worked in various grocery stores. And I have to, deal being like closing management. I had to deal with the hobos that may be shooting up in our bathrooms.
Wow.
Yeah, that was crazy because one time the door was locked. Nothing has happened for like an hour. Finally, you unlocked it and see like the dude like passed out with a thing around his arm. Like, oh my god, really? This is happening in this store right now. This is happening. I mean, but of course they enable it now because now they just have a little Sharps dispenser because everybody's diabetic or something. And like, this is horseshit. People are shooting up.
Have you seen any videos of California, like people just walking down the street? Not so much the news, because you can't trust the news, but California is getting San Francisco, the homeless people, and just sitting there right on the side of the street, cops driving by and they're like half passed out, just sitting there like head slung over, crack pipe sitting in between their legs on the ground, just sitting there.
No,
it's insane. They're not even hiding it anymore there. They just do the drugs right out on the street in front of everybody.
They don't care anymore. It's like, these are small. Let's go after the people who are smoking those healthy plants. That's much more profitable for us.
It's crazy.
Because I was thinking, like, the same people that I would see, like, or would be shooting up in our bathrooms, they were also, homeless, and you'd see them on the street corner. One dude was like, I don't know how he was alive or conscious or what was going on, but he was like standing, but his body's like kind of swaying and bent over and just looks all funky like. I'm like, what were you? Yeah, you guys are no. I'm not gonna, no. It's like if you're homeless and you're actually trying to better yourself, then I'll donate. But it's pick and choose, use discernment, because there's a lot of those videos of people being like, you see them like, oh, they just parked across the street, they didn't shower for a couple of days, messed up their hair, boom, here we go. Oh, I need fame. And like, then they try to play your heartstrings with children. There, like some of it may be true, some of it may not, but I don't have time to really decipher between the two. I'm like, I just don't want to deal with this right now.
Yeah, no doubt.
So
what got you on? Okay, go ahead.
That was where I was going next. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry. I did turn it over to you. Go right ahead.
So what got you onto the jet fuel? What was it that just didn't sit right with you that made you want to look deeper into it? Or did you already have some knowledge about it beforehand and were like, oh, this is just nonsense right from the get?
I mean, I had prior knowledge. Like I said, my father, he worked for the airlines for all my life that I can remember, and he retired from it through various airline company mergers and this and that. So it was like he worked for PSA originally back in the like in the 70s. In the 80s, they were like bought out like it was like merging with like Piedmont, which eventually bought out by U.S. Air and so on and so forth. But anyway, so yeah, with my dad working for the airlines, we get the little family passes and everything. You just have to just dress nice, and you just get reserved seats that they have on the planes. So sometimes you don't get to sit with your loved ones, but sometimes you do, or you might have like 3 one way and 2 maybe a couple rows up or whatever the heck. But I've flown many dozens of times between like Washington, California, New Hampshire, and of course the last few years just flying to and from Cairns or to Australia, which I did. That was really cool. And Hawaii a couple times, but it's like I did when I was like 5, and then the last time was at 10, and that's like the only time I really remember going to Hawaii when I was 10. But yeah, so I had a lot of at least experience, hands-on kind of esque. I've had tours of airports and seen where my dad worked like in the cargo areas of or like working with cargo planes, shall I say. So they have a separate building, would be like on the other end of the airport. But see that.
Yeah, so you had been to the airport not to just go and wait and jump on a plane and take
Mhm.
off. You
Oh,
actually would go to the airport, see dad, see where he worked, all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, shit, I got to go into cool air traffic control at SeaTac when I was like 12, when they had like their parents bring your child to work day kind of a thing.
Right.
That's cool.
So you get to see all of them. Like, this is so cool. I'm just a little kid here rolling around the big boy areas. So when the whole jet fuel hoax thing came about, I didn't really know 100% because my last real I'd flown kind of sparingly in the last 20 years. So like 2000 was like one of the last times I did, and that was from Calgary to Seattle, and then a couple times in maybe 2010 or so. It's like Vegas, but in that 7-year span, I really didn't. It doesn't really dawn on you because I never really looked at the fuel figures. I mean, I knew like the size and dimensions of a lot of planes, or knew what different makes and models of planes and airlines and airports and all that good stuff, but like the inner workings of like how turbine engines work and all that, I was kind of blindsided by that because prior to that, it's like just cars for me. And so I know cars. I know, how that works. I know good amount of ins and outs on how those engines operate. But as for turbine engines, that was a new subject for me. So I just, so when I see these first few videos of the jet fuel host going out, it raised questions, and I was like, well, it's possibly plausible. I don't know. It's not like planes have see-through wings, but they have certain standards which they have to build these planes by. I mean, they have very tight tolerances they have to adhere to, or else planes rip apart at certain speeds and heights and all that good stuff. I mean, these last couple of years, I've learned even more about planes because I was after I was realizing like, okay, there's got to be incidences where maybe planes have had emergency landings or crashes in regards to fuel loss or something of that nature happened, and lo and behold, I come across some of these accidents, and I'm like, all right, well, and that's where I started like, okay, well, this really just this open and closed case is done. It's over with. I have I can't do anything about that, right? It's like, well, I haven't met. It's like, okay, they use fuel. All right, cool. But then for a little bit, I was thinking, okay, maybe not as much fuel as they say. I don't know. So more digging, and then I come across all these instances, and I find another instance like where a plane took on a set amount of fuel, but they had a fuel line rupture mid-flight, which caused massive amounts of fuel leakage. They tried to balance it out, and they kept continuously losing fuel rapidly out of that one side of the plane. Like, what the hell? And they asked the flight crew flight crew that's on board and the pilots and whatnot, but go down the aisle, see if they can't see fuel, like something spray maybe out the back from around the engines and such. They couldn't see anything. Granted, it was at night. They're flying from they're attempting from Toronto to Lisbon, and still nothing. And next thing you know, like an engine flames out. It's no fuel, no nothing. And I'm like, oh shit, you know. But they diverted off to a small little island airport that could support the vehicle in hand during that time, and that was a Airbus A330. You know, it's decent size, it's like about the size of, like, say, a Dreamliner, essentially. This early 2001, right before that fun event. But yeah, I don't think there was any no casualties. There was just like maybe a couple bumps and bruises, and that's it. I'm like, okay, if they took on this amount of fuel and it all basically burned out by the time they landed here, but what's going on here? So, and within the last month or so, I've been really looking at, okay, there's got to be some kind of volume fill tank thing or something. Let's go see what the hell this is all about. I stumble upon one and I'm like, okay, cool. Now let's really nail where the hell they're storing the fuel in these planes. And for the most part, planes are built, their wings are built around a wing box system, essentially, that ties from one wing to the other, going through the fuselage, it bolts to the fuselage. So basically, no matter how much little flex that you see while flying or taxiing and whatever else, your wings are not going to fall off. So rest assured, there's no problem there. And I'm like, okay, let's see the structure and let's look at these points that were brought on by the jet fuel hoaxers, and let's see how this all works together. And they would be saying, you know, how fuel's sloshing. Like, well, no, in front of the wings and all, there's you know, we have spars. They run laterally the entire length of basically the wing to the fuselage, all the way to the other end, front and rear. You'll have that, and in between there, you'll have ribs connecting the two every, you know, few feet or so, maybe a little bit more, depending on the size of the aircraft, and that keeps the wings good, solid structure during flight. And there are holes, you know, for reduction in weight, because weight is the enemy in all things that move. And also it acts as a baffle for the fuel, which would be essentially sloshing in the wings. So I was like, well, that really does make sense. You do see people crawling through the wings. My brother used to crawl through the wings of the 787 Dreamliner before they moved all that stuff, all the wing inspection stuff, I guess, to Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, yeah, your brother works for
yeah, he works for Boeing.
Yeah, not a airliner like company, but he works for the manufacturer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So they have him doing that. I'm like, cool. So, you know, I asked him about all these questions because at first, you know, I was kind of on board with the jet fuel hoax for a minute. And I'd be like, there's no way to do this. I'm like, I'm at the point where I'm like, I want to go to some of the YouTube pilot channels and airplane turbine engine mechanics channels and such, and, like, you know, apologize to them, like, sorry, I was a dumbass, kind of a thing. But, you know, I was wrong. It's like, there's no major loss here. It's like, I'm learning something in the process here. It's like,
exactly.
I didn't fall with the crowd. I'm doing my own thing, and this is the conclusion that I came up with by, you know, looking at both sides of the argument, seeing the mishaps that would initially should debunk this whole baseless theory, and then everyone glitches out when you pivot. It's insane. You've seen that happen with other deception-esque type things that Karen is more known for dismantling.
Well, yeah, I mean,
my holdup was I saw a video early on when all this was out there, and I was kind of, you know, iffy about the whole thing as well. Both sides, you know, maybe not. But I saw a video of a lady doing testing inside of the wing, and what she was doing was air testing inside the wings, which I used to pull apart heat exchangers for about 7 years. And when we put them back together after they've been repaired, we tested them hydrostatically with water pressure. because they were going to hold liquids under high pressure and high temperature. Now, granted, we didn't test them at temperature, but we definitely tested them way beyond the pressure they would be running at. And so the idea of testing liquid holding containment areas of a plane with air didn't click with me. And that's where I still was holed up until this morning when, oh God, who gave it to me this morning? I have the site open, but I don't remember who told me about it. I'm sure they're in chat. Was it
Tommy
Tommy?
told you. I think
Okay.
so.
Speaking of, we need to get those lines open in a few. So Tommy told me about Leighton O'Brien technology, which apparently it's exactly what they do. They do testing of various tanks with air, it would seem. Now, I tried to do a little history, research, etc. this morning. I didn't find out a lot. I mean, their history overview, company overview is basically just how many employees and the data intelligence and nothing really about the actual tech they're using, which I would definitely like to know a bit more about. If I could, I'll look for some more videos.
Yeah, you would have to find out what type of device they're using and
I
then
mean, there's
research
still a
that.
lot of questions I would have to know here because
Yeah.
I mean, it still would have to be. I just don't understand the idea of air under pressure being the same as water or liquid or whatever under pressure. They're not. They're totally different. So I would have to understand this more. But apparently, it is a thing. But when I was doing it back in the literally 80s, it wasn't what we did at all. And that may be how they do it in the reconstruction industry now. I'm not sure. Did you? I meant to ask earlier. Did you have something you wanted to show at all? Because I don't think Josh enabled the
screen share and all that stuff.
Josh has been
share screen. Josh
hogging all the power.
Well, it's his show. So.
But yeah, you were talking about some structural things and some images. I mean, not images, but some whatever structural blueprints you have. Whatever you want to show us would be awesome to see. Because I mean, I've looked at all the whole thing. The other one that kind of was really strange for me is I myself have seen airplanes. I used to live close to 2 airports over 2 different periods of my life at great length, and saw some really interesting phenomena with planes seeming to be hovering in air. Now, granted, me traveling in a certain direction and with them traveling in a certain direction and the time of day and blah, 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 blah. And okay, that could explain it, but not as many times as I saw it, I don't think.
Yeah, and then there's also, people who watch it from the ground and seeing the plane fly over, so they'll be stationary. They're like wondering, why is it flying so, I saw one with the jet. I mean, I was diving into this jet fuel hoax thing. I'm like, okay, what is everyone pointing out? What are their claims or their ideas or their opinions of what they say this is going on or what's happening? So there's guys like measuring like this half-mile section.
Right, the speed thing was where I was going next. Yep.
Yeah, so when we're driving on the ground, we have our indicated actual speeds that we have there on the ground. When you're in the air, though, there's the difference, and that is like your airspeed, and that is basically the amount of the force of air, the wind, everything going over your wings, and that's what's being registered by the instrumentation on the outside of the plane to say, okay, you're above your stall speed, that you're at this speed, but your actual ground speed may be next to nothing. And this can happen with like Cessnas or something, a small, tiny little plane. I saw a little bit of a video where it's like the thing basically stopped in the midair. It's actually kind of going backwards because the wind is actually stronger than the forward thrust of the plane. But it's registering on the instrumentation that, hey, we're going this fast. So people on the ground are going, what the fuck? Guy on the ground, guy flying is probably going, what the fuck?
Right,
but the instrumentation seems to be legit, and I haven't fallen from the sky, so that's happening. But it's even crazier when you have even crazier gusts of wind and you have bigger aircraft going through this phenomena. And recently, not really recently, but several months back, it actually happened with an A380 landing at London Heathrow. And they were having like strong wind gusts and just overall wind. It like bursts up to like 100 knots at times. So this big ass city of a plane is basically looks like it's hovering, and they eventually decided to do a go around because they're just being tossed all over while they're kind of halfway hovering, and just that's how it works. It's just crazy like that. But yeah, I know that was one that always kind of troubled me too. And then I'm like, learned about it.
Well, actually, you didn't head where I thought you were heading, Ted. I'm sorry.
Oh.
So there was a guy, he was one of the first people that was doing some of this research, and it was about, this is vague, it's too long ago, but something about where he, something about the required speed to get off the ground, etc., versus the length of the runway versus the section of the road next to it where cars are going a designated speed that he could track. I can't remember. I'm probably fucking this all up, and knowing you were coming, I should have looked at it this afternoon, but there was so much going on here.
Oh, there's so much information.
But it was something about the speed of taking off and how it didn't seem logical, that there must be another technology there. And that's where we start getting into all this like free energy and hidden technologies and all the shit that we know they most likely are using and have and are using right in our faces. The whole deal with the cop department using water for fuel that we've seen that video, and just various things that seem to lead us all to believe that somewhere somebody's got tech we don't have a hold to. So, but there's something about the speed and him measuring it against the cars and the length of the takeoff. And somebody in chat probably can nail this and tell me all about where I'm not only messing up the explanation of the video, but why the video is completely wrong. And I know Tommy's in chat, and he's probably going to call in because he's got a lot to say about this. And I know Andrew B over there on Rockfin said he definitely has a few cents he wants to throw in on this at some point when we get the chance to open the lines. Am I right? Was that Andrew? That was Andrew. Okay, I see you there, Andrew. I went back and checked on you. But definitely, because them hiding tech is not even in doubt.
Oh yeah, I'm sure to some level they kind of trickle it down. But essentially it's like the overall efficiency of modern day turbojet, turbofan, turboprop, turboshaft engines or whatever. It kind of works hand in hand with like how I think about like the automotive industry, like how engines have improved. And back in the day, you would see old bombers taking off and just be a big black plume of smoke right behind them.
Right.
Just think about like how the old cars of like the 50s and 60s would be the same kind of. Well, I'm not saying they're all running super crazy rich, but I'm just saying the electronic computer technology electronic devices they would have to like kind of regulate air fuel ratios and the fuel injection size, all that stuff that goes into play to try and make a nice, beautiful, even burn where everything's just working harmonious. Because now when I was digging into all this, just seeing like how they have just the design of like the big fans they have on for these huge turbofan engines is like kept under a hush hush for Airbus, because they have everything probably like so harmonically balanced to that level.
Well, yeah, and that's, big money right there against your competitors. If you're more balanced and stable, you're going to probably burn less fuel and be able to fly further and all kinds of stuff. You don't want to share that data. That's like race car drivers sharing their data, how they set the car up for each track.
Exactly.
They're not going to do that.
Everyone's trying to get that competitive edge to make sure that their plane does better performance overall versus the next guy. And that's really what they want.
Yeah, there's no industry on earth that doesn't have their, confidentiality. I had to sign one to work in a bucket factory because I had worked in their competing bucket factory for like 5 or 6 years before I went and worked there. Like their head competition 30 miles down the road, I worked for them. So when I went to start working for them, somehow they knew this. Besides, that, well, I guess I told them on the resume or whatever. Yeah, that would make sense. But yeah, no, I was the only person that was hired then that had to sign one of these. Nobody else did.
Wow.
Hey, Walter, shout out to Critical Inception. Did you mean the channel Enslaved by No Media?
I probably did. I'm currently actually watching a video that's not on his channel because I can't find his channel. Have you got a link, Critical Inception?
It sounds right. That sounds real familiar. That does ring a couple bells. I first
it is 100% because I just heard the guy in the video say that Enslaved by No media was commenting on his video about this topic, but the video they're looking at came from an Instagram channel I'm not familiar with. So I'm like three layers removed from enslaved at this point. And I can't find his channel. It's not coming up. So apparently either they're gone or being hidden. I could throw this at us because I think they may be trying to debunk the whole thing, and it seems to be a smaller channel that may appreciate the attention. Of course, we've thought that before, haven't we?
And to be fair,
Yeah, but this is the exact debate that I was talking about the speeds and versus the field next. Yeah, there's the video. Okay, this is basically it. If this gets us knocked off the air, I don't know what y'all want to do. Call it.
you see, Ted was here before Zach or Walt. And I was going to go freshen up my coffee and have a cigarette before we got started. And I knew Ted was going to be here, or maybe not. He said he was going to go smoke too. But because he was already in the call, I thought, before I go smoke, how about I just go ahead and give Ted power? That way, in case anybody pops in, he'll get notified too. And if he feels the need to go ahead and let him in, then he can do that.
Oh, so he's had power this time?
He's had power this whole time,
I
you
should say,
shit-talking
shut the fuck up,
motherfucker.
Walt. Right. Hey, guess what, Josh? I don't have power.
Oh, yeah?
Ha, ha, ha.
So if you were to share something right now, you don't
Oh,
think you'd
fuck
be able
you.
to?
You just did that. You just did that, asshole, because I tried to a minute ago.
Yeah, well, if you want, I can share some of the memes and.
Yeah, man, please do. And like I said, I'm debating on showing this video or not. I don't know. I hate to get us knocked off when you're here because it has happened with us just innocently going, here, this is something cool. And we all of a sudden not even live and the channel's blocked.
It was like a dozen years ago, maybe, when I was looking into chemtrails and stuff like that. I ran across some information about some sort of aluminum oxide fuel additive that a lot of companies add to their fuel to give better gas mileage. Sort of this aluminum-based catalyst of sorts to burn that fuel a little hotter and get a little better gas mileage out of their fuel. And that was why they were seeing so much higher aluminum levels in the soils. I mean, how true that is, I don't know. It made a lot of sense to me. I'd seen some stuff, but even a dozen years ago, the CIA was pretty well all over that shit with people telling you, I'm a pilot. Look at all these pictures of my patches. Here's my chemtrail patches because I'm a chemtrail pilot. Even a dozen years ago. So, yeah.
Well, actually, before I share anything, I need to actually take off for just a minute here. I got chickens to lock up, and then I'll be back and I'll share away. And
Understandable, man. Tell them all I said hi.
Please.
Will do. I'll be back in a couple minutes.
You do your thing.
Absolutely.
You should see them out there with the chickens. They love them. Those chickens love and adore Ted.
That's awesome. Well, I'm not going to share that video because I want Ted to actually see it and comment upon it. Oh, wait. Tommy is saying, yes, that's called Status 450 additive, STADIS additive.
Karen says he's the best chicken daddy ever.
Oh, I need a t-shirt that says that.
That's got to be something. That's a t-shirt to make for him.
The cock whisperer.
Right oh no, I think that needs to go. Oh, bite your tongue off.
No, I think they ate. Yeah, they had a cock there for a little while, but he was a dick.
Yeah, they are. They're not worth the dinner you make out of them.
He's wearing this shirt right now. No, they said he tasted good. He tasted good.
Yeah, I'm still real tempted to get some chicken soon. Real tempted. I just don't think they'd last long. Between the hawks and the foxes, I don't think my chickens would last very long. Not to mention my dogs are assholes, and I don't know if I can train my dogs to not kill the chickens. Bunny's kind of a prick, too.
Yeah, you have to do it while you have to get chicks. I don't know about getting full-grown chickens. They might see that as more of a toy, but you get little chicks and you introduce them real soft. I don't know about Sibby. Sibby might just be like, that's just one one mouthful right there. I could do that. He can't even stop me.
He's getting old. I'm pretty sure his cancer is metastasized, and he don't get around like he used to. He don't see like he used to. His nose is real crusty, which is kind of weird. It's one thing for a dog's nose to be dry, but his is like got a weird fucking crusty callus type thing on it. I don't know what to do.
Oh, poor guy.
They got like special snoot butter or something. Comes in like a chapstick, and you wipe it on there. It's supposed to soften it up, but he likes the way it tastes, so it doesn't stay on very long.
I've heard RSO works miracles.
Yeah. He's had surgery. He's been through it all.
He's old.
He's old.
Yeah, he's old, but a comfort level might be achieved. Or is he seem comfortable?
He's pretty comfortable so far. He still gets around. He still gets a little playful from time to time. He's a big lummox, but every once in a while he'll get a little playful.
Alrighty, well, I'm back from locking up our little feathery friends, but I guess before that, Karen told me I need to show up a shirt that she made for me.
We were just talking about that in chat.
Yeah, so kind of see it there. It's like best chicken daddy ever. It's great.
That's just awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. That's amazing.
She was not joking.
Amazing.
Yep. But that's what it is.
Well, apparently you have inverse green screen going on.
I know.
Your
My
head.
head's
That's
transparent now, so I'll just
You're
stop.
just a
that.
hologram. This has all been a fucking illusion.
Yeah, I know. It's all
somebody call my
hologram.
handler.
Prank caller.
Who is it? Prank caller. Oh, shit. I thought we hung up on you because you disappeared.
Oh, sorry. No, I just did it because of my green screenish head.
That's fine.
But anyway.
Well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to throw this video up just for a second. It's only like 4.5 seconds here. 4.5 minutes, not even 4.5. And if it gets us in trouble, it'll be my fault.
Well, we can claim fair use right now. We're going to discuss this and blah, 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 all the good stuff. Fair use.
To the channel.
Can I pretend like that matters too? I'll pretend. Yeah, this is fair use, so you don't get to take it down. Yay!
Well, isn't there something about you have to make a disclaimer?
Oh yeah, it's like the whole title, this and that, a Section 17.
They just say that so that when they go ahead and strike it, they get a really good laugh because they see what dumbass.
Look at all the trouble that fuckhead went
yes.
to before we took his whole
just like
shit
Walt.
away from him.
Yep. Just a good belly laugh. Fair use, fucker.
All right, here we go. Fair use. Damn it, I can't share sound too. That helps. Shout out, awesome, Austin in chat.
I recognize that.
Stealing that artwork. All right, I muted. Here we go.
Istanbul Spotter on Instagram. Now take.
Damn it. Epic fail. I did not have my sound appropriately go into the appropriate place. My apologies all around. Let's back that up.
Here's an interesting video from Istanbul Spotter on Instagram. Now take a look as this plane is landing. How fast do you think it's going? Compare it to the white bus going on the road right next to it. So, how fast do you think that plane is really going? If you look at the comments in the video, one person says that according to Boeing, it's going about 158 miles per hour when it's landing, but comparing it to the vehicles shows that's not correct. Jason says landing speed is not 100 miles per hour like we're told, more like 40 miles per hour. Another person says, I see the jet going at least 3 times as fast as the bus. To which Enslaved by No Media replies, really? 3 times as fast? I don't think anyone will agree with you. So here's my analysis using what we actually see in the video. First, we need to figure out the size of that plane. The caption says in the original video that it's a 777, but there are several different sizes. I found that it exactly matches this diagram of a 300ER. So looking that up on Wikipedia, it says that the plane is 73.86 meters long. Next, let's pick a reference point and see how long it takes the entire plane to cross that line. If you look at this frame closely, there's a tree or structure by the tower, and I'm going to draw a line from there to the corner of the roof on this structure. Since both of those things are stationary, the line between them is always stationary too. Okay, so the nose of the plane crosses that line at 700, and as we go forward, each frame is 1/30th of a second. At 7:29, the tail crosses the same point. Now remember, the entire length of the plane has traveled over the same point in 29 frames. Now that, plus the length of the plane, is actually enough to calculate the speed of the plane at this moment. You calculate speed by doing distance divided by time. So the distance is the entire length of the plane, or 73.86 meters. The time is 29 frames, which is 0.967 seconds. And you get 76.4 meters
Can
per
you stop
second.
it for a second?
That's the speed of
Absolutely.
this plane.
I don't understand why he's picking something in the background that's far off. Why wouldn't he use the line on the runway?
Why wouldn't he calculate airspeed? Why wouldn't he calculate headwinds? I'm real curious as to how far this goes.
There's a lot of assumptions here. There's like, what's the distance between the runway and the roadway? What's the speed of the vehicles on the roadway?
Yeah, what's the distance
I
to
think
the
he's
thing
just working out the
behind the
speed of the
plane?
plane with what he sees right now. I don't think he saw the vehicles in the next ship, but I could be wrong. Again, I am not even playing a mathematician on TFR.
And that converts to 275 kilometers per hour. So you can do something similar to calculate the number of miles per hour, 171 miles per hour, which is equal to 148.5 knots. Now, squinting at these frames one by one, there may be some error here. So let's just assume there might be a plus or minus 5% error, or a range of 162 to 179 miles per hour. Okay, but there's still a question. Why in the world does it look like the plane is landing at the same speed as the van in front of it? In order to answer that question, it may be helpful to kind of look at the scene from above.
This is definitely
so I made
not
this
exactly
video that
what I
shows what's
saw
happening.
before. What I
As
saw
you can
before
see,
was probably
the
on the
purple
Enslaved by
line
Media
is
channel. He
the
was doing
line of
shots
sight
from
from the
way
camera.
far away.
That
and there was a
yellow
roadway
square
next
is
to
the
it. It
bus
could be this
moving
very
along,
airport,
and
but
then
it was
the
a
plane
long shot.
is on the runway.
It wasn't close like
And
this,
so you can
the angle
see,
thing probably wasn't
even
really
though
even
it
playing
looks
as much
like
into it.
they're
I don't know.
lined
Again,
up, they're
math
not
makes
really.
everything
The
look like
bus is
magic
still
at
traveling
this
much
point to me.
slower than the plane. And
Yeah,
this
but I can see
hopefully
what he's
helps you
talking
see
about.
why
There
it
being
looks like they're
a
traveling
logical
together.
explanation for sure.
Yeah.
But
here's another way of looking at the video showing the
struck. Let me just stop because we pretty much see where this is going. Anyone that has Enslaved's channel handy, if you dropped it, I've missed it because I was doing the sharing. Let me close this, and we're probably going to shut the channel. I mean the call if I'm not careful. Did I? No. Go, go, go. Go, go, go. No, I don't see a drop yet. Maybe I did. No, I did. Okay. And I scroll like ridiculously far down with that name in my different versions of trying to search it on YouTube, and that's the only video that I found in reference to his channel. So it's gone, I'm guessing.
I guess. It's like there's that faint just suggestion of the Enslaved by No Media, and I'm like almost see like an icon, the logo, the something. I just almost there. It's been a while apparently. So
he also has something about looking north versus looking south. Does anybody remember all that? Like looking north, the distance between mountain ranges was
I do vaguely. Yes, this does ring a bell.
For some reason, and the explanation fit into the world we're on and something. And it's been too long ago, and I watch a lot of crazy shit to keep up with. So, but yeah,
that was like years and years ago. That was
and it's years ago. Right, this was when this all first hit. I did just like you. I went, well, air don't work. I'll keep this as a question, but I don't have time to dig into this. I got way too much else on my plate to dig into right now, and never went back really. So that channel either got it, taken down or is so buried I can't find it now. But that was another, and that one was more intriguing to me. That little about the vision and how it looks different south versus north. And it was very distinctive. And when he measured it out, it was like, yeah, there's a fucking huge difference. What's that about? And it wasn't the elevation he was at or any of that. You know, he eliminated all that. That was more of an interesting thing, I thought, than the aircraft stuff.
I'd be real curious at what distance that starts, because you could probably prove that pretty simply.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. It's been too long. Again, I don't have the channel.
But I do
I'll
vaguely
dig
remember
back
that.
and dig back and see. Who knows? I've gone back before looking for treasures from years back on my YouTube history and have gone and found them. It has happened.
Because that's another one of those things that does sort of ring true a little bit somewhere deep inside. That because of the energetics and the magnetics, it may not
Something
be
the way it would do it. Yeah.
completely universal in all directions, and sight, everything wouldn't quite work universally like that. I could totally see that.
Backwards world saying he did all that fancy math without including the plane's mass. Well, there you go.
So you
6
had
minutes.
something.
6 minutes.
What'd you say there, Walt?
Obviously, 6 minutes. 6 minutes. Everybody get ready. 6 minutes. Public PSA. 6 minutes. Prepare. 6 minutes.
Well, Ted, you said you had a couple things you wanted to share. I know you're a meme creator yourself.
Ish, not really so much more, but
It was a small hobby of yours at one time, we could say.
yeah, for a little bit there. Yeah, I was making some cool ones for like a Mac Parhar from back in the day.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that guy. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, rest in peace there, buddy. But
Yeah,
let's see
no
what
doubt, man.
let's see.
That's a real good point. Tommy says, but what if the runway was made of melted bricks? And it's a real good point, because you probably then wouldn't need to go so fast because of all of the energy stored in the melted
Stored in
brick
those
still.
bricks. Right. You're probably using that energy.
It's
to
like an
take all
energetic
that, yeah.
field that grabs you and
That
slows you down.
Explains the
Yeah.
hovering airplane I saw.
Mhm.
and you land in a pocket of survival.
That's right.
Did Karen be some bubblegum, Ted?
I know. She's gonna be kicking some ass later.
Aha. I see a Vimeo coming my way. Let me go see what that is. Thank you, Brian. There in chat. While you're helping me out, while Ted's helping us out, I will go see what that is.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
If you didn't know, you look at... Well, no, that's Skype. Never mind. It says I'm all out of bubblegum. But I think she used to have something like that on Facebook. I don't know. I haven't looked at Facebook in so long. It's yeah.
For what it's worth, I'm all out of sweet tart.
All out of what?
Sweet tart. I like sweet tart.
Yeah, I used to love me a sweet tart. Or the what are those other ones that were the Tart and Tiny?
Tart and Tinies are good. Yeah, like baby sprees. Like
Yeah.
those baby tiny barrel sprees.
Remember when candy was candy?
Now it's like music and has about 1,000 different variations.
Yeah, there was Twix.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's like 80 different types of Twix. It's ridiculous. It's like, I just want the original. Do you have the regular Twix?
Yeah.
And young people look at you like you're ancient.
Oh, you say peanut butter Twix, they'll freaking really date you.
You can get some fucked up flavors online, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, yeah. Especially with like Harry Potter edition jelly beans. But anyway, if you want, guys, I'll just share my screen here and show you all the little fun pictures and such. Let people be afraid and show all the great stuff. All
Now, this
right.
is the one I was talking about this morning. Was this specific
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, this is like I was saying last night. It's like the mother of all jet fuel hoax memes, I guess.
And what a real bait and switch bullshit this is, too.
Because like I try to mention to people, yeah, you get a side front view of an Airbus A380, and you're getting a 3/4 view of a tanker truck, and not understanding, it's just the tank itself. That's what we're going to be focusing on, and
Right.
they have like all this stuff just thrown up on here, but
And then they don't just like take those tanks and just fill them until they overflow a little bit and then try to cap them off. I mean, they don't fill them all the way up. So
no, they don't fill every plane up to full capacity every flight. It's like if they're doing a full like 84,000 gallons of fuel on said aircraft on this one particular, because that's like the maximum capacity. It's like, yeah, that's for like super long haul flight, probably like London to Perth or Sydney or Singapore, something good, 12, 13, 14 to 15 hour flight. Yeah, you'll need all that kind of stuff. But, all that stuff is calculated prior to flying. That's what the pilot and first officer are doing. Like when they get on board, they're going through all their checklists. I mean, that's the thing people say, like, oh, pilots are just simple. They just press the button and they're in cruise mode. And like, it's like the whole point of autopilot is just to keep the workload minimized for the pilots, because there's a bunch of other technicalities they have to consistently have to monitor and adjust and watch over, making sure engines are operational temperature, making sure they got everything calculated out right and whatnot, so they could figure like, okay, how much thrust do we need at takeoff, how much thrust do we need for the duration of the flight with this amount of passengers, this amount of fuel / and cargo or whatever they have going on.
This headwind that we got going right now.
Yeah, because I learned to a while back. It's like, but I didn't know, but they have various pilots flying around sending out information to like air traffic control to kind of give them a reference in that sector of like airspace, like, hey, winds are such knots, it's from such degrees, or this and that. There's a whole bunch goes on here with flights that I didn't even really know about until like the last maybe 6 months. I'm like, I'm subscribed to a pilot's channel or whatever, and rolling through his archives of information. I'm like, oh, this is interesting, cool stuff, and learning about how all this works and that works, and the interesting checks they have to do, and this and that. But
by the way, it's 420 somewhere.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Tommy Tell the Truth has got bucket bong action going on right now. But yeah, let's see. And we can scroll. So we got. Oh yeah, another one I saw going around as well. Maybe like an Air Canada Airbus A320. It looks, well, emergency landing, obviously. It looks like probably landing gear failure, since the engine's behind the plane now. And it looks
That
like
was that was terrifying, man.
Oh, I couldn't imagine that. I've never had like insane kind of a landing before. I mean, I've had some rough landings here and there or massive turbulence before, but I've never been in like an emergency landing situation before.
I mean, just think about it. A flat tire in your car sucks. It can be, you're on the highway doing 60 plus miles an hour and you blow a tire, it'll get your nerves. It will. Now imagine doing, 170, having 200 something people behind you in the vehicle with you, and all of a sudden your gear doesn't come down or something like that, and you just start, God, that would be terrifying.
What was it? When I found out with these Airbus A320s, at least those making models, I guess, but they had an issue with like a sensor on the nose landing gear on those craft that it constantly like turns and rotates, gyrates and such, like kind of give it a idea of like how the tire is positioned, whatever. But Guess what happened? Like during flight, it cocked like 180, like 90 degrees, so it's facing like horizontal to the direction of the plane, and they couldn't do anything about it. They tried troubleshooting it as much as they could, and they eventually had to land with this sideways front like gear and everything, the landing gear. I'm like, oh, this is kind of scary.
Yeah, that would.
But here's the worst part. That was being videoed from a news channel by a helicopter, saying this plane flying around with the freaking nose landing gear facing the opposite direction or facing sideways. So yeah, there's a little bit of fear for passengers.
Yeah.
No stress. But again, they say like no fuel tanks in the wings, and this is where I was like going off last night, and luckily today I'm in a more relaxed mood, so I'm not going to be hopefully not swearing as much. But in front of the plane here we have the slats of the wings. These are helpful for landing during the the extra little bit of lift, or just kind of so they can glide in nice and safe and everything's happy. But behind that is the spar of the wing, and that's what I was saying about, goes directly across the entire wing. And we have that in the rear as well, but in between that area is where the fuel would be stored. And here we have a Delta 757-300 that's been retired or sent to the scrapyard, and they have that. It's basically a hodgepodge of parts that other airline companies would use to fix their planes in case something happens. And planes on the cheap, they salvage through it, make sure everything's operational. But the first thing they do when they land at said graveyards is they empty all the fluids, and then the engines are removed.
All the stuff that they can still use.
Yeah. Because planes are no different than your average automobiles. Like, stuff breaks down. The only difference is the velocities which you encounter are a little bit higher than what you normally feel on the road. That you're sub 100 mile an hour drives. It's more like 400, 500, 600 miles an hour at 5-6 miles up.
That's amazing. They really are. Those vehicles right there are just, it's like a little flying city almost.
Yeah, they can be, for sure. I mean, biggest plane I can document flying on was a 777 when I flew from San Francisco to Auckland. And like the engine, the fan alone right here is the width of a 737 fuselage, just to put in perspective.
Gee,
it's a big monster of an engine. That's why they have that's why they produce the thrust. That's why they are the way they sound. Like, that was another thing I'm noticing. Like, the sounds of these engines, you hear, they say when they put in the cruise mode, you hear the little humming and stuff. Well, that's the resonant vibrations from the engines. Because I think I was mentioning earlier before we started about how they fine tune, they tweak the living crap out of these fans. Like, say, well, actually we just said it pretty good long ago, but they fine tune these fans, from balance. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I mean, this is just the outside, the front fan. We're not talking about like the compressor stages, the turbines. I mean, those also have super high tolerances they have to adhere to, or engines blow up, kind of a thing.
Just think of your ceiling fan, man. What happens when that thing gets out of balance, and the noise it makes, and the movement, and just the shaking.
Yeah, a little dust on the wrong one, you forget to get off, and suddenly it's all wacky.
Yep.
And then along with the memes, the not to scale memes that we're kind of seeing, like the fuel trucks on top of the A380's wings. These trucks
are the stacks of vehicles. That's the ones.
I know, like all the Camaro, like the hundreds of Camaros on each wing. I'm like, good Lord. I'm like, that's nuts.
That's all fuel tank.
Yeah, I mean, but
in a Camaro, that's all you put fuel in the seat.
Yeah,
in the
it's serious apples to oranges in these.
I know, it's a little stack.
We were just talking about like the liquid volume. We're not talking about full size of an American muscle car on a wing.
I've been told after about 3 months, it feels like you're just putting gas into every fucking orifice of that car. That's what I've been told.
Probably.
I bet it does. feel like it's got gas everywhere.
I mean, you've got to be somewhere, right? I know. But here's another of the misleading memes. Right here, we have an Airbus A340-600. These are like I said, they're like one of the longer, probably like the longest of the fuselages on modern day commercial aircraft. But halfway through here, it shows like we needed room for at least 200,000 gallons for a long haul trip from like say UK to Australia. I'm like, okay. But you look up the specs on A340-600, it's 204,000 liters. So right there, you already got a mishap because now you 1 second.
But if I divide that, it makes the number smaller, and that's not as engaging. I don't want to divide it. I'll just say 200,000 gallons.
I know. It ended up being like 54,000 gallons, not 200,000.
Just a little bit of an exaggeration.
Just a wee bit. But that exaggeration also comes into play was like one of the stories I was talking about one of the emergency landings that really like opened my eyes to the realization that these planes are running on fuel, copious amounts of fuel, and that if they don't have exact measurements at when they need it for said flight, accidents arise, and in this case it did. Different accident, incident or whatever, plane landed safely, no injuries, but it was an A380. I guess it was like part of the engine of the compressor or something like that, like shot through the wing, as you can see here in the highlighted portion. But that's that's gotta suck. A little nervousness.
Yeah. I mean, think about that. That's like more than armor, like your chest armor, like the military would be wearing. For the police.
Yeah, but I mean,
the size of the hole that thing shot through there.
Yeah, but here's the big thing: people are like, well, also you'll after you get to this, where it shot through here, there's a hole and everything, but that hole is not going to cause fuel leakage because the fuel is this darker area that you see. That's part of the wing box, the whole main superstructure of the wings that are on each airliner. That holds all the ribs, holds all the spars and everything like that. So where this thing shot through was luckily before the spar, or else you would have probably.
They got super lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the size of that hole, though. That is insane for an exit.
Yeah, because these engines right here are similar size to like say a 777, but then again, I don't know the exact placement of this hole. But it's a gnarly size. Any hole in a wing would alarm me. It's a little bit.
You want to see something really scary?
Yeah, but then here's the funny thing that people don't really address on flights. The lettering here, right on the wing, it's it just says like "Do not walk past this point." So here, it's like all like the hollow metal, basically. It's like where the wing slats are. These things that go forward, aid in landing, takeoffs, etc. And that's basically where this guy just kind of punctured through. And we have all the little, suppose where all the fuel is stored on a 757 we were looking at earlier. Like these are kind of like on the flying pencil essentially, but we have your big sources of fuel usage here. You have your engines and your APU. People get confused about like what is the APU, what does it do? The APU is the auxiliary power unit. It is it helps. It beats using like a hover cart, and it's also good for super hot days when they have inclement climate. Let's say it's really hot or really cold, and passengers are exiting or getting on, and they don't want to be frozen to death or sweating balls. So this will help power up. They'll use the bypass air from that guy, transfer it to cabin, and adjust all accordingly. But there's like I said, I was learning a great deal of information these last few months. I'm like, it's like I know they use fuel, I know they use the amount they say, but I really want to dive down into what does each and every individual part of the plane do, and how does it work, and how is everything working its little ecosystem, so to say. I'm like, okay, well, they have the APU, they fire that guy on from the cockpit. and that once that gets going, it'll generate air. It'll generate the air that they need to help start these guys. But your engines, they're all turbine engines, just different sizes and different purposes. This isn't going to like generate the biggest amount of power. This is essentially kind of like a your alternator on your car. So that starts up, it sends the bleed air to the engine, they get the guy spinning up, and then fuel is introduced, and then it gets the combustion going because they have the igniters set, and those are going. And then once that, here's the thing I didn't know too. Once the fuel and the air is, the right ratios, they can shut off the ignition on it, and it'll just run perpetual. On that aspect, the fact that they have enough air going in, the fuel being atomized and sprayed at the right levels, and it's just a constant flame coming out the back, essentially, or happening in the combustors, and thus producing thrust. And then so this guy gets started, this guy gets shut off, then they use the bleed air from this engine to be the number one engine. Make it easy for everybody. They label the engines, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, how many they have from left to right. So they take that bleed air from this engine and they swoosh over to here. Because if you ever look on the outskirts of an engine, of the modern turbofan engines, they all kind of look semi-similar. They have a whole bunch of big stainless steel hoses wrapping around and this and that. It's all for either they use fuel to cool the oil, which is interesting. But the military utilize that property as well. All the air hoses either for cabin pressure, make sure that's up to snuff or people die. It might be important. There we go. So like I say earlier about the wing box, and then you have your slats, kind of get a little better understanding. It's it's just a big structure, and you're at the end is where they'll have surge tanks. You have your ailerons for turning left and right. All the fairings, which basically they're the guides for the flaps to follow through when they're being extended or retracted. You have your lift dampers, or AKA speed brakes. You might see those things kind of flailing around here and there when you're on approach. Oh, but here we go. So saying about how the size of the engines. Here we go. Here's the GE90 engine, which powers GE90, GE99X, same thing essentially, just a little bit different power ratings.
Wow.
But there's your 737. There's your GE90, and then your 777. The thing's a beast.
Gee.
Yeah. All right. Here's another idea right here.
You could live in that engine.
Yeah. That's bigger than a New York apartment.
Wow.
Actually, you think about it, it goes back several rows.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you just hollow out the engine, just leave the casing. Yeah, you got a freaking cool tubular house.
Totally, man.
Yeah, it's like, and I flew on a 777. Like I said, that thing, that's a beefy freaking plane.
Are those double deckers?
No, they're single deck, but the economy sits 10 abreast, so it's 3 on towards the windows and then 4 in the center.
Wow, that's a wide plane.
Yeah, and that's also kind of like how the A380 is, how the 747 is. The A380 will be 8 abreast at the top. That's depending on how they have all the seating arrangements set forth. Because the Air Emirates, they're the big players with their A380s. They love the big planes because all that rich Saudi oil money and such.
And these planes are no joke. I mean, if you took out all the weight,
I
think it was the guy who first flew I don't know what it was, maybe a 747. I'm not sure. Don't quote me.
Yeah.
But he took off and it was all empty, no seats or anything, and he did a barrel roll with this huge plane, not that high up in the air. He just wanted to show everybody that these planes can, it's not. You don't need to be scared. It's a real plane.
Yeah.
It looks huge, and it doesn't make sense,
because
you can get this big giant thing up in the air without just falling down and keep it going. But he wanted to show everybody, hey, these are real planes. They can do just like all the other planes. These are, yeah.
It's
I'm gonna see
insanity.
if I can't find it.
Let's see. But yeah, here's again more of the memes. Like according to the Encyclopedia Britannica, modern passenger jets do not have fuel tanks. Well, that's another thing. Like it depends on the aircraft. Sometimes I mean, like smaller, like smaller business jets, they might actually have a set in stone fuel tank in the center tank area or whatever. But they will also have the same deal going on here with all the ribs that are connecting the spars and giving the wing box its good structure that it needs to withstand all the forces that it'll be experiencing during takeoff, landing, flight, etc. And as well as holding up the engines. But yeah, it's basically just like a fuel cavity. It's the wing box. But it's I don't know what to tell people. Yeah, now this is something I wish I could have seen fly before it blew it up, so to speak. There was only one of these, the infamous Antonov AN-225, which before being utilized as a huge, massive shipping plane, it was used for the Russian copycat Boran or whatever, their space shuttle BS thing. They say went to space and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, we Russians, we do better. Even like they copy everything the Americans have ever done. It's like you have 4, we have 6 now. we little Russia, we bigger. But
I want
Now, how
7.
big is a 7? What, Josh?
So I want 7. 4 on one side, 3 on the other.
I know.
Now, how big is a 707? I just dropped the video.
Oh yeah.
That's
Okay.
the video of the guy who did it. They say his name. I saw it there a second ago. Let me see. It's a Boeing 707 by test pilot Tex Johnson. Yeah.
Oh yes, but that was like another big thing for when the 747s came out was they were about double the size of 707. 707 essentially is probably like say the length of a average mid. It's a little longer than like a 737, but it's a quad jet, has 4 engines, and it was very popular and very useful. And now they use a variant of it, the KC-135, for mid-air refueling. But here's a great one. But here's a great semi-recent meme. This came from about a month ago. I believe it was August 6th that this incident occurred when a Qatar 777 freighter was flying from don't quote me, I think it was Atlanta to Chicago, and I guess they misjudged when they were taxiing off the runway and they landed in O'Hare, and dun 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 hits the pole. And it ended up trying to be like the highlight of like a double meme discussion here. Like, remember when they claimed aircraft wings cut through mesh with reinforced steel beams? But
then people said, "Where's the fuel?" Right?
Yeah. So you can kind of see the outline of where it goes. That's the funny part. You kind of see a faint line running along the side here, and that's where the pole stopped at. Again, that's the front section of the wing spar, and we have the rear one here, which connects all the hydraulic. Which behind it is all the hydraulics and all the flaps.
Yeah.
So it's in here. These little oval shaped discs, guys, are the access ports for, maybe you have to change out fuel probes or have someone go in there. I'm still trying to fathom the idea that my brother used to do that kind of stuff, and because he's like bigger than I am.
I've tried to picture this plane. I mean, I know this is not what happened, but I'm picturing it, doing like 250 miles an hour down the runway, getting ready to fucking take off, and it hits this light pole and just stops it dead in the fucking tracks.
Yeah. Yeah. So then we get close on a A380 here, like trying to it's hard to see, but you can almost kind of see like silhouettes of like where the pilot would be. It's like these things are ginormous. I've yet to fly on one, but there's another thing people will always be this question comes up from time to time, and that's like, okay, where's all the fuel stored? They got all these like underground fuel tanks. Well, they're not really. Well, there are some underground fuel tanks, and then there's also just the piping that runs to these fuel farms, which contain millions upon millions of gallons of jet fuel. And here you can see like where they, trucks will stop by and reload. Of course, you're not going to see it because you're in the terminal, away, nice safe distance from these guys. And that just
when those go boom, they don't want people to be anywhere near it if that happens.
Yeah, just an idea.
But just follow those gas lines and think of the
A lot of
damage and
people-
destruction. Sorry, I'm just
Yeah,
picturing
but-
scary drones in the sky looking at those things.
But seeing those land tanks just made me think about the fact that a lot of people don't really realize how much stuff is being pumped around, under, beside, through. There's things hidden in every neighborhood around you.
Oh, I know.
It's pumping millions of gallons of various types all over the place. So for them to get some gallons of fuel from those tanks over to the airfield a couple of 100 miles away, not 100, sorry, a couple of miles away.
Yeah.
Got my cat suddenly jumped in my microphone. Come on, baby. You can't have it. But yeah, that's, again, people just don't understand some things.
Yeah. Here we go. We got a F. I want to see our night here, but F-22 Raptor. And I do agree. The fighter jets do have very thin wings. I will give them that. It's about 40 feet across, 62 feet long. So with that, I could kind of ballpark, kind of maybe get an idea of how big these containers are. So if you want, we could just subtract all these external outboard tanks, and we'll be around maybe around 12, well, half the fuel, because right here is 592, 710. So that's rough, 1,300 gallons right there on each wing. So remove that from the total, you're already at half the distance or half the amount. It's not too unfathomable to think that they do have stuff. They have stuff, spaces, for munitions to be at.
Well, yeah, that's at least that tank is at least 15 feet deep.
Mm-hmm.
You got to think it's at least a foot in depth,
Yeah.
at least.
Mm-hmm.
So right there, you're talking about every 6 inches or so, you have a gallon.
Yeah.
Coming
I know.
out from that baseline, 6 inches by 6 inches, or however big a gallon of milk is.
Yeah.
A lot of those in that.
Oh yeah.
So the SR-22 was pretty inefficient with fuel.
Are you talking about the SR-71?
That's what I meant. Yes,
Yeah, no,
SR-71.
Okay.
What the hell is an SR-22? SR-22, that's your insurance for if you get your license taken away.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That's because I'm about 3/4 away done with this joint. I think I'll just sit it down right here. Yeah, the SR-71 Blackbird. Exactly. Not your SR-22s. Yeah, because what? On the tarmac, it just dumps fuel out everywhere because it doesn't actually pressurize until it gets up into the sky and going at speed, and then everything sort of heats up, expands, and seals itself in.
Yeah.
And then it comes back down and it lands and it's leaking all this liquid air all over the tarmac or something.
Yeah, I know. That's how they had to get around all that stuff. They had to design a plane that would be up to experiencing all these extreme temperatures and pressures and altitudes and whatnot. It's like the plane stretches like a foot or so in flight. It's glowing red on top. They have those paints. Like the glass is extremely hot. The fuselage is extremely hot. The engine even stretches. I was watching a video by some old man who actually was a part of the design team for building this sucker, and talking about like how parts of the engine stretch out like 6 inches or so here in the mic. That's a little nerve-wracking to me, but this was, back in the 50s. Who knows what we have now? Maybe they do have perpetual anti-gravitic engines that don't require any natural resources that we normally think about. And yeah, maybe that's in the air. Who I know, military, yeah, because they're so open and honest.
Here's something that may or may not be true. But hypothetically speaking, if I were to have attended an outpatient rehab with some guy that worked in an area outside of St. Louis that handled basically a large region's air traffic control radio traffic, it sort of all cycled through there, and it was all hypothetically, if I were to have met this person, then he would have worked in this place that was very hush hush, and just for security reasons, nobody was really supposed to know where it was or what it did. And he said, hypothetically, he would have said that he knew of a metal that when they applied an electric charge, it would flex and bend. And they could actually shape it according to the electric charge that they put into it. Hypothetically, he would have said this if I had hypothetically gone to this hypothetical outpatient rehab once upon a time, hypothetically.
That's wild.
Take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
smart metal.
Yeah, I know. It's like nanotech metal.
And here's what's intriguing. All metal has a memory. I didn't realize, but even blocks of metal will obviously flex and bend a little bit. And you can, when you're taking very precise measurements, you don't have to whack on it really hard to adjust your measurements. But you have to whack it hard enough to actually move the metal, because if you don't, it'll change, but then you'll come back the next day and it will have shifted back. It has that memory to it. It's really crazy.
Well, interestingly enough, backwardsworld.jg in chat, shout out, has been throwing a few things around. I'm trying to go back and find it. Damn it. This is not it, but this is also one. Damn it, I'm throwing y'all all over the place. The first thing I noticed earlier was, anyone know about the dragline experiment? They set it up to fail on purpose. They did a dragline experiment 20 years ago to pull electrons from the upper atmosphere. It took the line. They used a really thin line, no heat coating. It was a soft line. The theory is you drag a hard line in the atmosphere and you can generate enough volts to run the engines. I do remember vaguely something about that, but what really trips me out is about 20 years ago, I was dreaming. I was out of body. And the space shuttle was pulling these wires through the atmosphere that it was dropping onto the Earth that were burning these shapes, geometric pattern, sigil-looking shapes into the Earth. And I was like, holy shit, so this is how the crop circles are being made? And that was about 20, 25 years ago. So that's interesting. But the thing that really broke my mind was, where is it? They're slowly showing us this tech. Showing us this. You can use gold-plated silver contacts called drag plates. They draw the positive electrons into the electric motors. You can fly forever. The only power used is for takeoff. The tech has already existed for decades. A friend, out it scrolled. Every time I start reading it, somebody types, give me a second.
You bastard!
Stop typing, asses. No. A friend worked at Area 51, test pilot, silent electric motors that increase power with altitude. Minus 47 degrees apparently is the temperature, way, way up there. Just a few things I'm throwing out there, because these are some things we had been looking at way back in the UFO community as well, which I used to be hugely into. What was the other one?
Yeah, negative 47 is probably somewhere right around 60,000, something like that. I know it's 79,000. It's like negative 69 degrees, negative 65. Different balloon tests have said different things, but it's always right around there, right around negative 70, between negative 65 and 70. And then it starts warming up when you go up above that.
There you go.
That's why I know that height and that temperature.
So ideally, you would want your craft in the warm zone, but you'd want, for better conductivity, your drag lines in the cold zone, picking up the most electrons that they could, but then conducting them the most efficiently in the cold.
I'm sorry, Zach. I was just testing something. I've been hearing the noise growing and growing. Apparently, your charge, your personal self field that you create, Mr. Tesla, is affecting your phone again because it's like starting to bleed over. I just muted you to test it, so I can't unmute you. I
Yeah,
thought
it
I
always
could.
seems like around 2.5, 3
I was
hours
gonna say
in.
about
It's
2 hours
weird.
in, it starts. Yeah, your charge gets too much. You need to go out and ground a bit. Take your shoes off. I'm just giving you shit, Zach. Well, I know you're gonna be levitating soon, man.
Probably will be.
He's just gonna blink out of existence. Just a pile of Zach clothes and a crocheted hat.
A big rainbow spreading out into infinity.
A 7-colored rainbow, by the way.
You'd be surprised. I was looking at something the other day. It was, I think, maybe some retro hippie shit or something. And was counting colors, thinking to Cammy, how many colors they got? Did they hex this shit? Yeah, they sure did, those motherfuckers. This is not a 7-color rainbow. Yep.
Sorry, I'm trying to keep the cat off me here.
No, it's fine.
She's needing attention.
Yeah, I totally killed my other phone. It won't even, you can't hear me talk. The microphone is like, I must have zapped it good.
Yeah, that one's ace. Yeah, you crazy. That's all I could say.
That's Zach for you.
And who was it talking about linking the Tesla coils I just saw in chat? Something
I think
taking
that was Backwards World as well. I was trying to read it and it kept jumping, so I just gave up.
taking 5 Tesla coils and putting the output to the, like taking the first one, putting the output to the input to the second, and just sort of looping them around in a circle.
Interesting. That's
a
insane.
big Tesla coil daisy chain.
Be careful with your bank cards around the Tesla coils there, apparently, as well, would be a thing.
Yeah, your magnets too. They'll fuck up a magnet. They fuck up my Works RFID badge. I've fucked up a few of these little things in my day. And I hate having to go to HR to get my badge. I hate anybody that feels like it's okay to work for something that calls itself HR, human resources. Fuel, sure. The fuel that they put into airplanes, that's a fucking resource. Humans, not a resource. Whatever.
That's, we've become ants.
Some people might disagree about what resources they're looking out for. I believe Andrew B is trying to get in this conversation because he was asking about a StreamYard link, which we don't have StreamYard, sir. But to get you into talking, what happened? Is that him already? How did we do that? Wait, there was one? Oh, that's Zach. You tricked me, Zach. So, Andrew, yeah, give me a second here, and I will see what I can do. 1 second. And then Tommy also said later he'd call in. I don't know how much later was. I know Tommy is, my God, on the move. There's not even a word for it. I wish I had a quarter of the energy that guy has. Where is... give me a minute while I fumble around trying to share and link people in. Someone else talk, because I can't do all those things.
So what I'm going to do is head on over to Telegram and send Andrew B an invitation. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay, you're going to do it there?
Right here to this Zoom
to him easy
meeting.
Through Telegram, but you're right. Do it that way.
Yep, I figured that'd probably be the easiest.
All right, you do that, and then I'll talk. Hi, Zach is doubled. Zach has been cloned. We knew it was coming.
Well, you'd be surprised. I could probably... Nope, I can't. Never mind. You better talk.
Double Zach's.
Zach's doubled up. Ted's back. I didn't even realize Ted had left. I am so sorry. I just saw your message.
Oh, just realized that the issue was already done before. I didn't realize.
We're all kind of floundering, looking for trying to get Andrew B. He's a friend of ours from over on Rockfin. We met him there. He's been hanging out, holding down Iron Realm representation over there at the chat for sure. Him and Tom and Brian Stavely popping in earlier. Good to see you there, Brian. But he apparently has a little input on some of this as well. I don't know which side of this yet from actually seeing what he had to say in chat. So this is going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
If we get him in here, is also going to be interesting to see. It's been quite technically gremlinescent. How about that? Gremlinescent, new word, vocalizations.
Nice.
Gremlinized, I think is the word you're looking for. The show
Right, probably
has been
so.
quite gremlinized.
That was the third album by that folk metal band. What do they call them? I forgot.
Folk metal.
It's out there. I was joking, but it's real.
Every time I'd play Ozzy Osbourne, No More Tears, my dad would say, folk metal.
Fucking idiot.
What's your favorite Ozzy Osbourne song, Ted? It could be
man.
Sabbath. It could be just Ozzy.
Well, no, Ozzy and Sabbath are two entities.
Yeah, you get ready for this one. I'm like not really a big fan, so I really can't.
There's got to be one song you know.
Oh,
that's like
I guess
that.
I'll go with Crazy Train. I guess I'll be,
I'll arbitrarily pick the title of the song that I've heard before that I know might be by Ozzy Osbourne. That's what I did.
That's all good.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Ozzy fan either.
I love Mama, I'm Coming Home.
That's a good
that
one.
song just touches my heart every time I hear it. And then War Pigs is like, I mean, good Lord, that just says it all right there. He's screaming at people
I
about.
came to appreciate Ozzy through Randy Rhoads because I was already a guitar head at the point Randy hit the scene, and so when I started reading magazines and they were talking about this new guy, boom, okay, let's hear it. And so that was the first thing that I heard was that opening riff to Over the Mountain because I missed Blizzard. I found Blizzard second. I got Diary first. And so when I heard that opening riff, it was like, oh God, this is like nothing I ever heard. And then that whole album is just guitar heaven. Went back, heard Blizzard. Eventually I could stand Ozzy's vocal delivery enough to get over the fact that at first I really didn't appreciate it at all. And then I got past the, darkness thing. He really just wanted to be the Beatles. Just like, there you go, Mama, I'm Coming Home. Revolution, Mother Earth. There's quite a few ballads Ozzy has out there. I think it was more character than anything. But yeah, it was the guitar, really more than anything. There's a great documentary out there right now about Randy that's on one of the streaming sources that really centers on his youth and mom and the early days with Quiet Riot, pre-Ozzy. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. All right, enough guitar geek and I'll stop.
Yeah, I shouldn't even have started, John. That's my fault. Start asking questions about music. I know what happens.
Yeah. So yeah, whence do we meet, sir? There will definitely be some karaoke-ing.
Yeah, I'm planning on doing a bunch of that at Flattoberfest.
I was just going to say, I know when there's going to be some karaoke going on here pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
And this will be the first one I get to actually go to and hang out. Because, I mean, usually we'd have to get up pretty early and get there and be ready to, go. Kind of. Well, not too bad. Not go, but we always had time to set up. We're never like right on time. We're IRM,
Yeah.
We got to represent IRM properly. Show up precisely when we're supposed to. But we're pretty good about it. But yeah, now it doesn't start till noon. So that is awesome, dude.
Yeah. And I also found out that I think I said that same company that the Speed Factory they had in Spartanburg for last year's Oktoberfest that I couldn't race in because, well, I said that, actually shattered a living F out of my pinky toe on my left foot a week prior.
Yeah, you were hobbling around that whole time.
Luckily Yeah, you missed the worst part, like the day after. It's like the creator gave me a pass for that weekend in my little slip-on medical boot that I was rolling around in with the crutches. But come that Monday morning, that's when all hell broke loose. That's when my foot decided to give. Yeah, I won't go into massive detail. I'll just say that I've never been through that much. I never experienced pain where I actually cried.
Oh man.
And I had like Karen helping me tremendously. Zulu stopped by for a little bit. He was like focusing on like having me look at him while Karen's like basically doing like at home. Well, she wasn't doing surgery, but you know, she was like getting everything like taking care of the mess. I'll just say, but yeah, that's always, it's not perfect, but I'm able to walk on it, stand on it, run, jump, this and that. That's good. And then what was it? Several like a few months ago, I actually broke another toe on my other foot, but not to the severity of that first one.
It's like a running joke in our family, the amount of broke toes we have from mom down to me and my sister and brother. We'll call each other and like, thanks, mom. She just passed it on to us. So.
I know. It's like I'm usually pretty safe and I don't get too banged up, or at least not to the point where I'm actually like, have to miss work or something. I've never been that bad, but yeah, so that kind of hindered all my smack talking I was doing about go-karting in Spartanburg. But if I can maintain injury-free status through then, but the same company has a setup over in Greenville. So, and if the thing isn't starting till noon, hey, do racing beforehand, or do racing like the Monday beforehand, or whatever.
Nice. Like, yeah.
It's a lot of fun. But the best part, though, I think, is the fact I got me and Karen freaking hotel room. At the like.
Yeah, you don't have to drive all the way back to the house.
Less than 2 miles. Oh, it's so beautiful. Versus an hour drive to and from, waking up at the butt crack of dawn with all the stress and running on caffeine and hope and prayers.
Yeah,
like
yeah, this will be so much nicer. That's
and
awesome, man.
Yeah, and then another blessing in disguise, of course, is we got like Karen's mom's gonna fly in to watch the animals. So again, more workload off of us. So because I was tripping out about that, I'm like, oh man, what are we doing about the dog, the chickens, all this stuff, animals? So we have a savior for those days, and me and Karen can actually, well, we won't be like stressed, at least with dealing with the grind of driving down there and back every night. It's like we can relax,
Yeah,
have fun, and
you don't got to worry so much about being on time.
yeah. And my big thing was I'm just going to be like your big security guy. Hence why I'm getting back into at least lifting around the house or at work or this and that. And
so you're pretty formidable looking guy. I don't think we're going to have too many issues.
I don't have, it's the strength that backs the look, It's like, yeah, you could be 7 foot, 300 pounds, but if you can't do like a pull up or a push up, then you're really not going to be much of a pose or a force to deal with come toe to toe with somebody.
Yeah, we had this kid, Justin Wisniewski was his name. I can't believe I remember that. We all called him Juice. He got picked on in elementary school real bad, and then like in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, he was picked on a lot by bullies. He went and took jujitsu and never got big, but he got like that farm boy strength where you look skinny, but man, you hit like a mule, and don't let this kid wrap you up. If he gets his arms around you, it's over. He was like a python. And he just beat the shit out of everyone in high school. Anybody who just looked at him funny, he just took out all that anger and aggression on. Yeah.
That's why I was a gym rat for like 9 years. It's like sometimes I feel like Zulu and you like want to throat punch everybody, but if I could focus and harness that and focus that energy on making myself better, then I'll do that. I'll just put in my earbuds, jam some heavy metal, and just lift weights until I feel I have accomplished some kind of a goal for the day.
There you go, man.
Uh-huh.
It's good exercise.
Oh yeah, I mean
anything that gets that heart pumping and gets that electricity flowing through your veins.
Crank up the amperage, baby.
Even as I'm sorry, I mean to interrupt, guys, but even as we speak, I'm doing my damnedest to get Tommy in here. Andrew said he'd like Tommy to hop on real quick first, and he'll pop on too. He has some unique perspective, interesting stuff. But I'm almost certain Tommy's having the problem I had, where neither of the links are working for you. What I had to actually do, if you look on those addresses, there's a if you're hearing me, Tommy, there is a tiny little place with a little, like a video camera symbol. And if you hover over it, it'll bring up an actual web address. Copy that and paste it into just your browser. It should
There we
get
go.
you here.
Okay.
There
That
we
was
go.
fast.
Or you could just call me on Skype too. I can pipe that in too. I'm
Well, we got it.
multi-talented. Zero talent.
We finally do it.
Hey, Tommy.
Of course, he's probably playing with audio at the moment. It's usually the first thing.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can,
There
good
he
sir.
is.
What's up, friend?
What's up, guys? That was hard to do while I was driving.
Oh, you're
Oh.
driving. Well, that would explain a lot of it. And now we should have known that. That
Prank
guy
caller,
never
prank
stops.
caller.
Brad, you never
Yeah.
stop.
Just joke.
What do you mean? This is a good thing I was pulled over when I did that.
How you doing tonight, sir?
Man, I'm just loving listening to this presentation Ted's given, and I appreciate all the research that he's done into this. And I used to be actually on the other side of the fence on this argument years ago, but then when I got into the industry, and now I've got 5 years under my belt in it, and it's just complete nonsense. And seeing Ted, just break it down and doing all his research to find out exactly how the planes work and how the fuel's delivered and everything, it's just a breath of fresh air to see some actual research being done in something.
Amen. Yep.
Thanks for the kind
Well,
words
that's
there,
what you
sir.
have to do if you want to really,
Mhm.
have a good idea about this stuff.
But 6 tankers
Can't
stacked.
you see him stacked on top like that? I mean, come on.
I've seen red cars. You can't fool me.
I hear
See,
Tommy's blood boiling right now just by you saying that.
I'm convinced.
Yeah, don't worry. Brian and Karen got to hear me scream in triggering mode like few weeks ago. I'm like, okay, let's look through all these jet fuel hoax videos, see what information they're putting out, what are their points, and I'm like, oh, it sounded like a one-man naval ship here, just swearing like no other. I'm like, how can you be so? What the? Like, it's just making up shit as they go. I'm like, no, you're wrong on so many levels. I'm like, mother, yeah, but yeah, that was that. But looked into it more, got all this stuff set in order. I'm like, all right, I'm not retarded. And
Well, yeah,
I
it's
know-
like
I-
being a flat earther, right?
oh, I know.
You see something that you want to share with people, and they won't even. They're just throwing up Hail Marys left and
Yeah.
right.
Uh-huh.
No
Or, no, I don't wanna-
research. Let's just throw it up.
I'm like, aren't they supposed to be
Uh-oh,
humbled
Josh
by?
has got something. I see him.
What about flat Earth memes and flat Earthers posting flat Earth stuff? That's just complete nonsense that was posted.
Oh, it
with
drives
zero
me nuts.
research.
Oh yeah, they're.
Drives me insane.
And I'd be guilty of sharing one of them back in the day, and I feel bad for that. That's the one with like the sun setting and the moon, like full moon right above it between two palm trees. You've seen that one probably. And I did that, like then I look back, I'm like, this is so effing stupid because I'm not really fully understanding the electromagnetic, electrostatic relationship between the sun and the moon and the earth and the plane, how all that works, and like, oh, I'm a effing retard. I'm bad. I'm sorry. Yeah, thanks, Karen. Yeah, I was bad last night, triggering pain. I was seeing her comment. I'm like, that's me with anger and alcohol and guided by truth or something of that nature.
And a little bit of that humble pie.
That's what I was thinking.
I know. Karen does that for me though. I was freaking nervous wreck as hell yesterday, just getting ready. I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't streamed in like a year. This should just go without a hitch. No problem. Yeah.
Nothing. Get about 7 or 8 beers in and get your passions going.
Oh,
yeah, I don't do
I was
that.
about one. I had like 2 beers, and I woke up today with a hangover.
See,
I have never been video recorded in that state.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God that there weren't people with cameras everywhere when I was younger, there's no way. I would have so many videos out of other people taking videos of me while I was drunk doing stupid things. Yeah.
Here, hold
No.
my beer.
Yeah, I'll do it. Let me try that.
Yeah, I'll do a wheelie in that grandma's wheelchair, no problem.
That was dumb.
Odds
I drank a
are
lot.
there's enough home video of me that just by the sheer numbers game of it, that at some point I was captured at least tipsy. So
Yeah, I guess I used bad logic last night. You know, let's drink before we stream a little bit. I mean, I had a beer. I was cracking it open, but whatever. Yeah, so apologies to all that I may have really offended and pissed off, and I was trying to be like real anger driven, but you know, this has been going on for years. It's like I thought I shook it off, and it came back with a vengeance. Like in the last seems like 6 months, and to the point where I'm getting tagged and other people's posts like go fight him off. I'm like, oh no, here we go again, not again. I'm like, just can't they just look into this themselves? Do I have to really like?
Sometimes you do
spoon feed them like this, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you go watch a few videos, do some research, and then instead of tagging me, fight your own battles?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something like that.
So Tommy, what you said you've been in the industry for 5 years, and I kind of have a idea of what you do there. We've talked about it, but if you could share with everybody in the audience, like, what is it that you've been working in the industry where you have this little inside scoop where you're just like, wow, this was stupid. I can't believe I believe this.
Yeah, so I do everything from the point of getting the excavator and physically digging the hole where the tanks go under the ground, installing the tanks at the airports, whether it could be a 20,000 gallon tank or a 60,000 gallon Xerxes tank, then helping run the fuel lines, connecting them to the tank, dropping in the motor, whether it's a 20 or 30 horsepower motor, or sometimes a small for like avgas, you'll have a horse and a half or 5 horsepower Maxwell FE Petro or either a red jacket motor. And then I run the electrical, I wire everything up. I install the tank monitoring system that monitors all the fuel that's in the tank, and it shows how much fuel is going in and out using probes. I install the probes myself, so there's no other person there. There's no compartmentalization. I'm doing everything from A to Z. And then after installing the tank monitoring system, I wire all that up and I connect everything, and then I can look at it. So whenever a plane pulls up to the airport and starts pumping fuel, I can see exactly how much fuel is pumped into the plane. And this isn't anything like NASA where there's compartmentalization where a person's not involved in process A to Z. They just, all right, you guys work on G and that's your thing. No, I'm doing everything from A to Z, and there's no deception in it whatsoever. The fuel's going into the plane, and I can see when a plane lands and it's left LA, come to Columbia Metropolitan Airport, let's say, and it'll take on 18,000 gallons. And when you check it, it says, well, a plane uses 18,000 gallons on a cross-country trip.
Whoa.
He may have driven through a tunnel.
Satellite went out.
Yeah, he definitely got out of
Texas. Now imagine if you double the size of that fire hose and put it into a plane, like you could fill it up quickly.
We lost you there for a little bit, Tommy, right after you said cross-country trip.
And 18,000 gallons or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they use about 18,000 gallons on a cross-country trip. So they're only going to add the 18,000 gallons back to the plane. They're not going to sit there and, like for a 747 that's going to take 54,000 gallons, they're not going to sit there and add 54,000 gallons to it. So that's why it's not taking that long to fill the planes up, but they're only having to add 18,000 gallons. Now, obviously, every flight's like a cross-country trip, so they're not using that much fuel. So that's how these planes are getting it out of there really quickly.
Well, yeah, I took a plane from Phoenix to Denver, and that's nothing. It was a really quick. It was just a hop up pretty much in a plane, and I bet they barely had to use any fuel compared to what it could actually hold.
I was going to say Tommy there, it's Nathan, Commercial Sound of Video, is asking for you to elaborate on the additive being dumped into the fuel supply, the mystery 50-gallon drums.
Yeah, you can look this up online. The MSD sheets are publicly available, and it's all the same elements that you see in chemtrails. It's called Status 450, STADIS 450, and they just take a 55-gallon drum of that, dump it into the tank, and it's to create to minimize electrostatic buildup in the fuel lines to keep planes from exploding. And they started doing this around the mid 80s, and that's when we started noticing chemtrails more and more after this became commonplace. And the element that they add to it, which we can now find more and more of in our fuel, is mainly aluminum, and that's the element that prevents the electrostatic charges dispersing inside the fuel lines themselves.
Yeah, it all I put in was Status 450 and it popped right up. Static Dissipator Additive, ASP Aviation.
There you go, and that's exact. If you look at the MSDS sheets and you look at the chemical compositions for these chemtrails, like when this whole pandemic started back in 2020 and the colleges were out, there was a professor, it's either Washington State or Oregon State. He went up and he took samples of chemtrails and sampled them and listed out the elements that he was finding and saying, this is definitely man-made. It's some type of additive that's put in the fuel. And this exact list that's listed there on the MSDS sheets for this compound.
Wow. So pretty much they started doing this because there's so much of an electrostatic charge up there. They were scared of discharges taking place.
Correct. And the aluminum it's part of it. Of course, there's other things in it with the sulfur and things like that. And you can look at all the elements in there and see exactly what it's composed of. And yeah, it matches perfectly to what people's been finding that's contained in the chemtrails. And I mean, I've literally seen them. They come out with a dolly and dump the 55-gallon drum into the fuel.
Oh my God, there's all this energy up here. We need to put aluminum in the sky because I don't know what to do with all this electricity in my big flying machine.
Don't have a long enough grounding cable to extend from the back of the plane to touch the ground.
Oh, come on. The ISS doesn't need to be grounded.
You can plug a hole with a thumb.
Plug a hole with a thumb.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, we have been joined by Andrew B.
Welcome, Andrew.
Welcome.
Now, whether Andrew has worked out the audio or not, I am not 100% sure.
Yeah, you always come in unmuted here on Zoom, and you'll have to connect to the audio first and then unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
there
right.
he is. What's up, Andrew?
Hopefully my audio is all right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
How are you, sir?
I am all right.
Good. It's like the Oracle of Delphi. You must first pass 3 tasks before you are allowed to enter.
Right.
We're glad you're here.
Welcome.
Oh, not much. It's my day off, so I've been drinking, so fuck you, whatever.
Right on.
Nice.
Right.
Spirit.
He comes in hot, ladies and gentlemen.
That is like the best intro ever. It's my day off, so I've been drinking, so fuck you.
That's the soundbite. Don't worry, it's coming. Oh my God. Well,
I'm
man,
hearing
I
an
saw
echo.
in chat there's no doubt. There's probably going to be one, but let me mute up and see if it was me doing. Okay, well,
I heard a silence echo.
Let's say I heard the echo of silence. I saw in the chat you had a unique perspective, sir, to provide here on this. What's the background? I don't want to read it out. You can tell everybody about it because I've closed Rock Band apparently. How did I do that? Damn it.
All right, well, I'm still hearing the echo, but I may have to exit and rejoin.
All right, why don't you, I was going to say, why don't you pop out, pop back in? Do you have a headset on or on audio, like a speaker system?
Yeah, I have a head. I've got a headset, and I also have a webcam.
It could be doing the multi thing. Like when I came in, it had for some reason defaulted to my mic camera on my camera and my mic
All right,
camera.
I'm gonna
whatever.
hop out and come back in.
And so
I'll be
yeah,
right back.
Okay.
there you go. Technology.
But yeah, I think these are really good to have, these discussions. Just showing that, even us flat earthers still jump the gun. Even though we've been taught this thing that a lot more people are catching on to lately. But still, we still have to do our due diligence in our research. We can't just see something, and even if it feels right, just because it feels right. I mean, I love the way Stellium 7, Mike, approaches this topic with his Titans. He goes there and looks around and, sees what he can see there. He's not just looking at a picture of the mountain on Google Earth and saying, oh, yeah, that was an elephant. Look. Yeah, he actually took the time and went in there and actually is doing it. It's awesome. Kind of like what you did here, Ted, with looking into how all this works.
Yeah, trust me, I drove myself almost mad looking at all
yeah,
this stuff.
I know it didn't happen overnight. I know that.
this is like, we spent like was it like the week or two leading up to this? As I was like, this is a rarity for me. Is like I'm actually like on my computer for more than any real length of time, really, because usually I'm out and about, either I'm either working or just out of the house. I mean, I just I don't like be cooped up and looking at a computer screen all day. I'd rather be out and breathing fresh air, hanging out with the animals or doing whatever I can. I don't know, just whatever else. But yeah, so I'm doing what I needed to do, and I gathered a buttload of information. I was absorbing everything I humanly could from every angle, avenue I could, and this is what I came up with. And yeah, so, and unfortunately, it causes people to get upset with you. You're like, but everything's a lie. It's like flat Earth. Everything's a lie. I'm like, no, what it should do is like open your mind to the possibility that things aren't what they have been described to you throughout life. But research it, check it out, look at both sides of the argument, which weigh them in, which one holds water, which one is a bunch of just malarkey, and roll with it. And if you come to a troubling point, take a break, come back at it again, see what you know, and maybe chat with others who are maybe on that same path, and you guys can work it out together that way. I don't know. This is kind of cool that I got Tommy here, Andrew here, you guys, and y'all having just little talking it out and seeing what's up.
And if you tell me everything's a lie, how am I supposed to believe the words coming out of your mouth?
Exactly. It's like you can't take this for information, but you can take this one for information, or you can take this person for information, but not this person. Or like, oh my goodness!
But trust me when I say everything's a lie. Wink, wink. So,
right.
Does that mean everything's true or everything's not a lie? When you say everything is a lie, because that must be a lie, because everything's a lie, right? Because now we're in this whole fucking cycle of where you're just a fucking moron.
Yeah, and everyone's just nihilistic in the end. They just, everything's fake. I have no hope. Everyone's blackpilled. Blah blah blah. Worry. Everything's all gonna come to an end. We're not gonna beat the New World Order. Everything's gonna do this and that. I'm like, try and be positive. All right. It's like, yeah, life throws a shitty hand here, but we can learn from these mistakes and learn from these deceptions and try and beat the system and buck the system and keep crushing in our life and our everyday existence here. We'll be fine. It's just don't let that crap bring you down and lower your energy and vibration. So that's why we have conversations with people who are vibing for the most part on the same level, if not higher. And you can. It's why it feels great to not be the smartest man in the room, especially when I'm at work. Well, at work, I feel like the smartest man. The people are there pretty stupid, but I come around here, the flat earthers and stuff. Like, I know I'm not the smartest man in the group, and I'm like, I'm perfectly humbled by that. I'm like, that's awesome. I get to learn some new stuff and share my experiences and what information I may not have, and go from there. But yeah.
I found I know so little that it's a lot easier for me to just say, I don't know, than be like, oh, yeah, I was wrong. I mean, I can say I'm wrong when I'm wrong for most of the time.
Yeah.
But it's a lot easier for me to just be like, I don't know, dude. I don't know if I believe that. I say, one of my favorites, that sounds interesting. But I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's like, and that's why people were even saying like, "Oh, you and Karen are gonna go back to the globe tomorrow or the next few days." I'm like, "Oh God!" Like, "Oh, NASA's got a good Wikipedia entry about like their rockets and stuff." Like, they're comparing apples and oranges here. They're shooting off rockets out into the ocean where we can actually tangibly be on these airplanes.
Well, think of it this way: if you're looking at it like it's a real debate, once ad homs start coming in and personal insults, you've won. You don't have to defend yourself anymore. Just it's like letting a child cry themselves out after that.
Yeah.
The debate's over.
I was more on the speech side, but I was part of a speech and debate, an award-winning speech and debate team once upon a time. And the thing about debate is you don't show up and be like, hey man, I feel real strongly about this, and I'm gonna talk to this dude who feels real strongly about this, and we're gonna see who's right. Because that's not what a debate is. Like, you show up, be like, hey, I'm a debater. And like, oh, cool. All right, well, sit down, read some magazines, read some books, do some whatever you got to do to prepare. Here in about 15, 20 minutes, we're going to come and we're going to give you a topic, and we're going to tell you whether you're going to argue for or against it. Okay, have fun. See you in 20 minutes. And then you find out which side of this particular subject you argue for. You have to know both sides to argue the subject. If you are a debater and you only go in there armed with your personal subjective knowledge and your skewed little bit of research that you've done based on your subjective knowledge, you'll never be able to argue both sides. And you just hope to God you don't have to argue against your personal stance, because you just sound like a fucking idiot. So if you want to debate something, debate against your personal views. I'll totally debate a glober if they want to argue flat earth and I'll argue globe. I know both sides. I did the research. I used to be a glober. But I don't think they did research enough to be able to argue either side. And I think that's a lot of this comes down to. I don't think they would even have the knowledge to be able to argue either side in the actual debate.
I know. That's why this topic was very, triggering to a lot of people. Like they're arguing the viewpoint from which they've all acquired their, quote unquote knowledge of this topic, and it's only through one person, or not one person, but one aspect of the whole picture. That's why I said, okay, well, let's start off right from the get-go. If there's no fuel, then there should be no accidents whatsoever utilizing turbine engines and aircraft crashing due to fuel loss, if that is the case. And lo and behold, there's quite a few of them. But I went through some of the big popular ones. I'm like, okay, let's see what the situation was, what led up to this event, and why it happened, and what was the outcome. And there's some pretty gnarly happenings that I read through some ones that weren't like jet fuel related, but it was just a horrible accident in which a pilot was actually sucked out of the cockpit. And this is like in the 70s.
Oh my goodness!
He was being held on by flight crew, his own seatbelt, or no. The lack of a seatbelt was the reasoning why he went out, and there was like a loose bolt or nut on holding the windscreen on the front. That blew out, and so did he. So he's like hanging out the front. His body is basically like bent backwards. His legs are kind of strapped in the cockpit, being held on by like under the all the controls and stuff. It's kind of like a desk kind of a thing. So it's like feet are kind of being held there. You have other flight crew holding him in while he's like kind of flailing out. And they still ended up landing the aircraft. I don't know how this man survived, but he did survive. And I was like in tears watching this. I'm like, oh, what? This happened like Europe, like in the 70s, I think it was. Not a very common aircraft. Not fly very much anymore. It was like I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it kind of looks like a relative like a DC-9, and it's like fuselage, side-mounted T-tail jet engine. But yeah, something like that happened. Pilot was freaking flying out, and first officer lands the plane. The guy seeks medical attention. A couple weeks later, they all, everything's good. I'm like, that was just amazing because I thought he was dead. I'm like, oh, that's probably the most disgusting thing to think about is like that happening. But yeah, but the ones that really intrigued me were like, the fuel loss, like the infamous Gimli glider, the flight in '83 where 767 ran out of fuel because they were asking for 23,300 kilograms of fuel and got 23,300.
All right, guys, I am back, but I'm getting some major audio issues. I'm hearing like reverb constantly. So
That is so weird. I don't know what that would be. And I'm guessing you're on your phone?
No. I'm going to switch to my webcam.
Yeah, give that a try.
So there's a little pop-up menu over there by your microphone where you can select your speaker and just double check and make sure you've got the right speaker set up.
It might be coming out your external speaker and your headset. That's what was happening with me at one point when I was trying to present. Because, apps, if anything, are so helpful by helping you keep on your toes, making sure all those buttons are you clicked 3, 5, 7, 8 months ago, whatever. Yeah. Keeping you on your toes.
We'll just pretend we're not Pavlov's dog.
Who is what we're?
All right, I think I may have fixed it.
Sweet.
Nice.
No echo, no feedback, minimal echo or kickback, slapback, pushback.
Test. So welcome again, sir.
All right. So yes, like I said, it's my day off. Hopefully, I don't slur my words too much.
Nope, you sound good so far.
So yeah, I would be on webcam, except that my webcam is disconnected at the moment. And I also have a pretty bad sunburn, which I'm trying to recover from at the moment. So I'm also, I'm hearing my own voice now. That's what's weird. Okay.
Yeah, this sounds like how I was coming.
Oh,
earlier,
fuck.
man.
Do you have the YouTube playing somewhere?
That should be more of a delay, I would think, but could be.
Yeah, that would definitely cause it.
Oh, that was the problem. I had Rockfin playing in the background.
There you go.
Oh, crap.
Oh.
All right. I'm an idiot.
Nah, no worries. You're drunk, right?
Right, you're drunk. It's your day
No,
off.
I'm not drunk. No.
You are. Well,
You've had a couple drinks.
You've had a couple drinks.
I've had a couple drinks.
Yeah,
I haven't indulged
yourself.
in the green herbal medicine yet, but I will. So yeah, a little background about me. I am not an aviator. I am not an engineer. I am not an aircraft mechanic or anything like that. However, I'm going to go ahead and, if I can, I'll share my screen and show you a little bit of a background as to what my experience when it comes to this whole fuel system thing, or aircraft fuel. And as a little preface to this, I'm 50-50 on this now. Ted, you have definitely swayed me into the direction of agreeing with you. Before that, I was definitely not in agreement with you, but you've definitely shown some pretty good stuff. So let me go ahead and show this. And can you guys see this?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the ship that I was on, the USS Nassau LHA-4. I was on board the flight deck of this aircraft. It's not an aircraft carrier specifically because it doesn't have a launch pad.
I was gonna say it looks a little bit shorter. Is that mostly heli?
Yeah, it's like 30 helicopters on board and 6 Harriers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I see the Harriers.
Man.
Well,
Is that an
on the right
Osprey?
side, those are actually not Harriers. Those are Ospreys.
Ospreys.
Ospreys, okay.
Yeah, and those were not on board when I was there. This is a decommissioned ship now. They took it out to the mothball fleet and they sank it, I think. It's an old ship. Anyways, so those are Ospreys. On the left side of the ship, on the aft side of the ship, that's called the bone. So on the starboard side, which is the right side of the ship, that's called the bone. That's where all the aircraft are stored. Now, right now, there's barely anything on board. And on the port side of the ship, that's where the fueling systems come in. That's where you fuel all the aircraft up. On the right side of the ship is where, while the ship is underway, that's where the fuel comes in. That's where they actually have like a merchant marine ship come in, and they would attach fuel lines. Actually, what they would do is they would take rifles and literally shoot these like balls across like the ocean, and would have these like big lines attached to them, and like 550 cord or something like that, and we would have to like drag those up with fuel lines, and the fueling team, which was part of V4, I was part of V1, would actually attach those lines to the ship, and they would just start fueling up the ship, and it would take hours to do that. And that would be for the aircraft, it would be for the ship, it would be for like multiple different things. I don't know. I wasn't part of the fueling team. Anyways, it would take hours to do that. It's called an unrep. And, I mean, there's multiple... I can go to other pictures of this. Well, it's not going to show me. Error loading, I guess. What the hell? Anyways, so there was these aircraft on board that would require... I'm going to show you this. Not that one. Not that one. Okay, here's a good example. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so on the right side of this aircraft, there's a big tank on the right side of this aircraft. Now, that looks like it might be a bomb. That's not a bomb. That's a fuel tank. Okay? So this is called a Seahawk, which is the same thing as a Black Hawk, except that it's used for the Navy and the Coast Guard versus the other branches of the military. So that's a fuel tank on the side of it. Now, there's another one. As soon as I can get the fucking thing to...
Were the Coast Guard guys cocky at all?
I didn't really meet them very much.
I've heard a couple stories. But, I mean, that's just here and there, you know. It wasn't
I'm just
something I
having
heard
a
a
hard
lot of.
time pulling this up because
Well, as a long time and way overdoer of tab abuse, sir, I can tell you that's a lot of the problem with opening right now, is having so many tabs open. I do it to myself almost every show in the morning.
Well, no, it's the part of
research
where it
stuff.
says you're sharing your screen, then I have a tab open where I need to like look at that and pull it up. It's getting it's getting in the way. So okay, so this is a
You can
CH-53.
slide your gray screen over, if that helps.
Oh shit, I can do. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah. All of us learning.
All right, there we go. Okay, so once again, this is a CH-53 helicopter. Once again, when you look at the side of the helicopter here, that is not a bomb. That is a fuel tank. All right. So then, if we go back to another helicopter, this is like an old helicopter that is pretty much getting ready to be like
completely decommissioned.
Yeah, this is like a Vietnam era helicopter. They were still being used. This uses skids on the bottom. There's no wheels like other helicopters use now. Sorry, I need to take a little drink of my beverage here.
This was the air cav would come in on these things eventually. Started off
Play
a little
some
smaller, as I
CCR.
recall. There you go.
Yeah, these kind of aircraft use a pilot and a co-pilot, and they can usually carry about. I've never actually been in one of these. It's about 8 people, maybe something like that. But yeah,
it looks like one of the old Chevy vans almost.
Yeah, and you can equip these things with all sorts of weapons on the side. The Army, the Navy, the Marines, like everybody uses these.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so What Ted is talking about, which is very interesting to me, is that when you're going to fuel up one of these things, where does the fuel go? Because I've seen these things fueled up, and they take like these 2 or 3 inch fuel lines, which take a team of people to fuel them up. So where does the fuel go?
I would think either like bottom of the fuselage or maybe a little bit in the tail or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not,
Yeah.
like I said, I am not a aircraft mechanic at all, but I've seen these things being fueled up.
Oh yeah, same. And you know, that's always been a mystery for me for like helicopters in and of themselves. But yeah,
Right.
because I've seen planes being refueled, I've seen other vehicles being refueled, but helicopters are a different one. Granted, you have some images you had up earlier, I think, from that CH-53, but it looked like it had a big prong sticking out the front on the co-pilot side that would be used for like mid-air refueling type of a scenario.
No,
Yeah,
that's no, that's for like radar and antenna.
Oh shit.
I used to have a stepbrother who was a crew chief for the CH-47.
Yeah, so there's these are the old versions of, and now these are still in use as well. This is a CH-46. This is more used for like troop transport. These are also a Vietnam era type of helicopter that are still in use that I'm not really sure why they break down all the time. But still, you don't see any fuel tanks on it. So where does the fuel go?
I guess you just have to look at a cutaway and see what they say, and then.
Well, I would think just to reduce drag, you would want everything enclosed and encased for aerodynamics and just to reduce that wind resistance.
Yeah.
So it's going to probably be up underneath there somewhere.
I don't know, it could be along the belly, but you also see this is also, it can hold troops. So, I mean, if I was going to be designing something like that, I'd probably want to keep the fuel low. So, yeah, probably on the bottom.
Yeah, so I don't actually know where the fuel goes. However, this is called an AV-8 Harrier. This is a jump jet. This is one of the type of jets that we had 6 on board until one of them crashed. I've got a whole story about that. Oh, if you guys want to hear some crazy fucking stories about, like when I was deployed out in the Persian Gulf during the invasion of Iraq, I got some crazy stories about that. But anyways, at the very top of almost the very middle of this Harrier, this AV-8 Harrier, I would see the mechanics, and there was like a pre-flight check every single time before these things took off. They would have these 2 mechanics that would walk around. They would inspect every single nut and bolt and everything about these Harriers. And what they would do is they would inspect the water level. They would literally take a garden hose and they would start filling up water into the top, into like the very middle of, like right behind the cockpit. And they would fill it up with, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 gallons of water, something like that. And I never understood why. I mean, was that for the radiator? Was it? I don't know. Was it for like some sort of like free energy device? I mean, I have no fucking clue.
Radiator would make sense. As I recall, those are Rolls-Royce engines in a Harrier jet.
Yeah, so I have no idea.
It wouldn't surprise me if they were using still some sort of basic coolant system like that for a Rolls-Royce engine.
But the point I'm trying to make here is that this aircraft has a fuel like tank that looks like a bomb on its wing, and along with the CH-53, which has something very similar to it. However, not every aircraft has that. So, the main like a 757 or a 737, whatever they're called, like commercial aircraft, they don't have that. No. So where does the fuel go?
I think those are reserve tanks, are they not? Because you can deploy your reserve tanks in an emergency if you're not going to need it. If you need to lose weight, you can drop your reserves with a switch.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I've never seen an actual aircraft drop fuel. There are situations where I've heard of like commercial airlines that drop fuel over like civilian towns.
Oh yeah.
People, yeah, I've heard about that, but I've never seen it. Like they had too much fuel, so they had to drop fuel in order to like land safely. I'm like, That makes no sense. I was in the military. I watched this happen. It doesn't make sense to me. But anyways, I am not disagreeing with you, Ted. I think that there is definitely an issue with this whole fuel situation. I don't know how it works. I'm an electrician. I am not, I'm not an aircraft mechanic. I'm not a pilot, but I do have experience working around aircraft, and I've seen them work, and I've seen them being fueled up. So, I'm not entirely sure, but these things. So this CH-53 on screen right now, this is like the military's most industrious. Like this thing, apparently, from the pilots that I talked to, this thing can fly through a hurricane. Like,
damn.
Oh yeah, it can hold like 40 people on board. It's fucking huge. It can hold
Yeah,
thousands
look
and
how
thousands.
small the pilots look right there.
Yeah.
You have all that room going back. It'd look even bigger if you saw it from the side. We're looking at it at that angle as well.
Well, yeah. Well, when
It's
you're
huge.
yeah, when you're actually up close to one of them, yeah, it's huge. And then I've been inside one of these things multiple times. Sorry, I'm drinking a little bit.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, that
so-
is definitely the reserve fuel tank. It looks like.
Yeah. So the right underneath the main rotor is the turbines. So that's where the air intake comes in, just like when you have an AV8. So you have the air intake that comes in. It goes in through that point, which is basically the air intake, and then from there, that's a combustion point essentially for a turbine. I'm not an engineer when it comes to that stuff, but I understand the basics of a turbine. It's not a piston-driven engine. It works differently. So, yeah, these are different. I don't know where the fuel comes in. I'm sorry, where the fuel is used in comparison to this.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Where is it stored?
Give me a second, if you don't mind, Andrew. May
Yeah.
I share a screen for a second?
Yeah, sure. I will
All right,
stop.
This is just quick and fast, and not even close to thorough. But after about 5 diagrams, this is the closest thing I've come up with. The one you showed a bit earlier. I'm sorry, damn it. And it's a really small picture. I had to, come in on it.
Yeah.
So it seems that 46 is a hydro. Oh no. Where was it? 48 rear underfloor fuel tank. 48. Oh damn it. 40. Damn it. Okay, let's try it again. 48.
Yeah.
Is right here. So there's a tank in this whole, I would guess, area maybe, under here. And then this 78, as you see, is the pressure refueling connection that would basically fuel, I guess, other areas, main floor beam, blah, 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 blah. I would say engine oil tank, etc. But there's definitely a underfloor fuel tank on this particular chopper. Extrapolate forward, there's got to be shit like that in those that don't have those external fuel tanks. I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah. And just like
What number is it? Oh, never mind.
I've stopped.
That's
sorry.
all right. No worries.
I saw another one at 109 as well.
Did you? We'll go back. Hell, I don't know.
No, that was a UH-60. It's a Black Hawk or a Seahawk.
Let me see. 109.
In the Navy and the Coast Guard, that's a Navy and Coast Guard. That's a UH-60. Right. In the Army, Air Force, and Marines, it's also a UH-60, but it's given a different classification.
Oh yeah, that 109 right there. It looks pretty large.
This says is a AW101 Merlin is what the.
Okay, it looks like a Black Hawk.
But
maybe
it
I'm wrong.
looks very similar. I saw the similar structure. That's why I picked it. And a lot of the other ones that I went to didn't have like diagram details. It was just pictures that I didn't know what any of that was. When I saw this with the list, I'm like, well, let me go look. And I finally saw that first fuel tank, and then you guys have pointed out a second one up here at the front in this 109 area right here. So this whole underfloor, see, 109's here. 109, 109, 109. So the whole under area is a tank, essentially. You're walking on fuel if you're in that.
Well, yeah, that's how a car is built too. That's where your gas tank is.
Right, absolutely.
However, when you go to the gas station, and if your car, I don't care how big your truck or car is, let's just say you have like a F-350, and you need to fill it up, it only takes, 5 minutes? However, these large aircraft that I saw being fueled up took 5 minutes with like a 2 or 3 inch fuel line. So, I mean, there was a massively larger amount of fuel being pumped into these. I don't know where it went. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be.
Well, Tommy was.
Josh, could I get power?
Oh, that's right. You left and came back, didn't you?
I left. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, Tommy would have more insight on that if you cares to explain to Andrew there.
Yeah, I'd love
Yeah,
to.
in like a 3/4 inch hose, what you're talking about in a car or a truck, one of the pumps or your dispenser that you're going to be dispensing from, if it has the maximum horsepower motor and you set your line pressure up, you can get 17 gallons a minute through a 3/4 inch hose. And just moving up to a 1 inch hose at like a truck stop, if you've got maybe like a 5 horsepower maximum motor and you set your line pressure up to 32, you're going to be able to pump 60 gallons a minute through a Go Barco 1 inch hose. So stepping up to like these 2 inch hoses, you're talking about hundreds of gallons a minute, because just that 1/4 inch difference tripled the amount of fuel that you were getting. So that's a lot of fuel that's pumping through there. Like, for instance, think of it as like a garden hose versus a fire hose. You know, a garden hose, it'll take you forever to fill up a swimming pool, but a 2.5 inch fire hose with the line pressure behind it, you're getting 1,000 gallons, around 800 gallons a minute at maximum. So that is a lot of liquid that's going through there.
All righty. What you're all seeing on screen, this was Mr. Thompson. He lived a few houses down from me. He had a grapevine. He
Oh,
let
get
us
the
eat.
fuck out. I thought this was just some like video
Nope.
on YouTube. I didn't know this was like.
I
real people
saw
you knew.
this
Yeah.
in this man's living room on an old like 35 millimeter projector when I was like 8, 9 years old, maybe. I was young. He had a bunch of, there he is, Harold. I never, he was Mr. Thompson to me. He was never, Harold. He was always Mr. Thompson. But yeah, I grew up, I saw those helicopters and it made me think. I was like, man, I want to go see if I can find that, because I remember seeing it when I was young, and no doubt his son put it up 15 years ago. This video is on YouTube. That's why it's in 240p.
Yeah, so
Yeah, like doing flips in a helicopter
60s.
is like.
Yeah, he did this in 1949.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool old man. Let us eat all the raspberries we wanted out of his garden. He was so cool.
All right, so one thing that I also have a concern with when it comes to the whole jet fuel hoax is not a concern necessarily, but they say that there's a certain amount of fuel going in, and volume is a very easy calculation. It's 2 pi squared times the height. It's really simple. That's how you figure out the volume of a cylinder. So when you figure out the volume of a cylinder plus the weight of the fuel, which is JP4, it's called JP, which is like jet propulsion. I think that's what it stands for. It has a certain weight to it. So the more you put in, the more it weighs. So the real simple way to explain or prove or disprove this is to weigh the aircraft, put the fuel in it, and then weigh it afterward. Real simple.
Mm-hmm. I'm down with that. But it seems like all they really do is just kind of take accountability of all the nuts, bolts, sheet metal, everything, airframe, everything together. And they just kind of get a calculation like, okay, a base weight is this. It can hold this. So we make our maximum takeoff weight this, or maximum landing weight this, all those various weights to go along with the tires that they have to use that have to have the high enough pressures and physical size and to support the weight of the vehicle. I mean, there's like so much math, and I don't want to be dealing with that really at all. So I'll deal with the stuff that I can tangibly look and measure myself, I guess. Or
Oh, I don't disagree with you. No, I'm not trying to argue with you at all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought Ted put out a great presentation here. Because I was still kind of, once I talked to Tommy and he was telling me about how he, is building the tanks and this and that, I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, no, this would have swayed me before that, your presentation there. That was very well done, man.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Much better than last day.
I think it's really important. Like yesterday, I was going on my long evening walk, and Karen was basically saying that, yeah, I don't give a fuck, or sorry, she didn't give a fuck if people really believed that if it was real or not. We have to be able to look at these things and prove them or disprove them, because there's a lot of bullshit con artists out there that are just trying to, sway the conspiracy theorists in one direction or another. And if something is wrong, then fucking prove it wrong. And that's the way that was a very well put thing that Karen said. And if this is wrong, I want to know it's wrong. I have my own personal experience with it. I'm just sharing that experience with you guys. I don't know what happened with all these aircraft that I saw being fueled up, but there's definitely something suspicious about the whole fuel thing.
For sure. It's like we don't know 100%. It's like they're not having a see-through metal sheets there for us to go, oh, there's where it is. You can see every drop accounted for right here and there. We could just, all we can do is just hope that, they ain't lying to us on that. But, you never know. But from what I could tell, that, internal combustion engines require fuel because air isn't going to ignite on itself. And if you're having issues in flight or with the engines that, I mentioned it a little bit last night. It's just a small clip, but of compressor surge is when either the harmonics of the compressor stages of the engines have little hiccups. They might ingest some foreign object debris, and the engine trying to work itself clean or whatever, it might shoot out some flames, but those little flames and explosions will come out both sides, and that's not going to be compressed air. It's not going to be plasma. It's not going to be whatever they say it may potentially be. This is like a car backfire, but on a turbine engine, essentially, I guess, to say the least. And so there's that. But then, these accidents in which people have had to divert to a different airport, or the plane goes down, or a really horrific incident like I mentioned about the Payne Stewart flight, it's a golfer, but they were originally trying to go from Orlando to Dallas, and it ended up plane crashed in South Dakota because the plane unfortunately became a ghost plane because the mechanics prior to flight didn't adjust the pressurization, the cabin pressure, to switching it from like off back to auto. So after 23,000 feet, the air traffic control heard like the last message from them, which was basically just calling out their call sign, and that was it. And they were tailed by F-16s. Traffic control was like working with police and this military, like, okay, where's this plane going to land based on the fuel and all that. And then they predicted in this region, and the fighters flew alongside and saw it ran out of fuel and watched it dropping below the clouds, and that was it. So,
wow, that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other thing that is important to understand is that when an aircraft is at like sea level, there's a certain amount of atmospheric pressure. There's more resistance to that plane moving, right? That's why like the Twin Tower fucking
yeah, that's why it's a physical impossibility for those planes to be flying at those speeds at that
altitude. The wings would have ripped off.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Right. So, but you go at high enough altitude, then all of a sudden the wind resistance decreases. Therefore, the plane doesn't have to use as much fuel because it basically just has to glide at that point. Yeah. So that's why I think that planes can definitely have much less fuel than is required, according to what we're told. But they still use fuel. They have to.
Yeah.
And then when they're landing, I don't even know if they need fuel at that point. They're just going to glide downward, and they're going to use like their brakes.
Well, I mean, they still have to manipulate the throttle based on the varying weather conditions. If they have to throttle up because crosswinds or headwinds or tailwinds, all these things have to be taken into account for. So they're constantly manipulating the throttle.
Okay.
But that's the thing. I was like always curious when people were saying, okay, they might use like some fuel to taxi, take off, and land. And while they're in air, they put in cruise. It's like they say cruise mode. I'm like, they really don't put cruise mode. They just set the dials on the autopilot for set altitude, set speed, direction, and then they just go through all their checklists throughout the entire flight and making sure everything's running smoothly. And that's about it. But once they get down, into descent, some planes do have auto land features. But the pilots pilot flying and monitoring, they all do have to go off their checklist. They do have to set the dials and everything, rate of descent, all that stuff. They still have to actuate a lot of this stuff. So it's not like it's a hands-free, just like press the button and everything happens.
Press the button and it all just automatically does it itself. No, it's more complicated than that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
I wouldn't want that job.
Oh,
That's
hell.
one of those. No, that'd be stressful.
Hey, this might be a little bit off topic. I'm not really sure if you guys want to see this or not. Have you guys ever heard of the USS Forrestal?
USS what?
Forrestal, did you say?
Forrestal.
Forrestal?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and put this.
I've heard of it, but it's not gonna. I have no frame of reference, nothing to connect it to.
This is what they showed us in Navy boot camp. Oh shit! Let me find the right video.
Maybe that's what it is, since mine was a department.
It kind of has to do with aircraft fuel and stuff like that. It's I don't know if you guys even want to watch this or not, but it's
Did you do boot camp? What, late 80s?
No.
90s?
2000.
Oh, okay.
I'm 39. Yeah, I'll go ahead and put this in the Zoom chat if you guys want to watch it. And it's very interesting because it's an example of what happens when an aircraft, like a fighter jet, lands on the aircraft, the flight deck, and it explodes.
Oh shit!
With fuel and bombs.
Oh fuck!
Yeah, it's what they show you in boot camp. We had to go through training in order to learn how to deal with that. Yeah. So, what you deal with? Yeah, me too. It killed a whole bunch of people and almost sank the ship. But what happens with fuel lines, along with water lines, is that when there's a 6-inch water line, which is a huge water line, like a fire hose, it takes not a 6-inch. I think it's a 4-inch, something like that. It takes 6 people to man one of these things because there's so much water pressure going through one of them that if one person was going to be trying to operate it, it would just like swing you around. It's going to be like a wild snake. So fuel lines are kind of the same thing. So the more pressure going through a water line, the more that water line or that hose is going to stiffen up, and it's going to go crazy. So this is an example of that a little bit, where people tried to man these water lines, these water hoses
by themselves.
Yeah, it killed a bunch of people. I mean, if you want to watch it, I mean, go ahead. I mean, if not, I mean, you can fast forward through it. Like, you can actually like fast forward up to about the let's see, about the 5-minute mark. And I'll go ahead and put this in Rockfin and YouTube chat as well if anybody wants to watch this. I've shown this to a bunch of people, and like everyone's like jaws just drop and like their eyes are wide open the whole time.
It's like watching the drunk driving video before prom that they made us do in school.
So yeah, this is what they show us in Navy boot camp. So there it is for Rockfin. Oh, sorry, for YouTube. And there it is for Rockfin. I don't know if you guys want to watch it. No big deal if you don't. But that's like way off topic.
Yeah,
So-
that's wild, man. That's cool that you bring that, because that's something that I've never even thought of, is the possibilities of what could happen trying to land a plane on a ship that's got bombs attached to it, made for war, and all the horrible things that could go wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, aircraft. So I was in 2002. I was there for the invasion of Iraq, and that was pretty horrible experience. Now that I think back to it, back then I was like, "Oh yeah, let's go kill these fucking people." But now that I think back to it, I'm like, "Oh man, we killed a whole bunch of innocent people." Anyways, those planes were not allowed to come back with bombs.
It's like 4 minutes, 7 seconds is when you really start to see what's going on. And then you let it play for like another minute. You're like, oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Yeah, it gets crazy.
Uh-huh. Yeah, my brother was on the USS Abraham in the Persian Gulf. I think he was there in the 90s, though. And then he went into military police because he couldn't pass the test to become an officer.
All right, so I'm not trying to make this about me, but I just now looked into YouTube chat for the first time after I posted that, and Dave Hinkle is saying, ask him to share some Persian Gulf stories. I will tell you. Shit, which one should I tell you?
Anything PG that's not going to cause PTSD for any of us.
Right. Well, that's kind of tough.
Yeah,
But all right, I'll tell you one. So there is that one movie called American Sniper. Have you guys heard of that?
Yes.
Yep.
With Chris Kyle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was on board the USS Nassau LHA-4, and as a young fucking like nobody on the ship, just like fresh into the Navy, if you're low ranking, what you have to do once per deployment is do something called FSA duty, which is food service attendant, meaning you have to go work in the kitchen for 3 months. You wash dishes, you sweep the floors, fucking chop vegetables, that kind of shit. And I was working graveyard shift in the chief's mess. So I was working in like the best, like the best spot you can work. And all of a sudden we had emergency flight quarters. It was like 1:00 in the morning. And I didn't think much of it because I wasn't up there on the flight deck at the time. And all of a sudden we had the Master Chief Snell. And if you guys want me to verify any of this, if you think I'm lying, I have video, photographic, and like documentation from the military to verify this. We had Master Chief Snell came down into the chief's mess, and he said, "Hey guys, cook these guys whatever they want right now." And we're like, "What the fuck?" It was like 3 of us, and there was about 7 or 8 guys that came on, and they had full, they had sniper rifles and like full military fatigue on, which is not seen on a Navy ship very often. And we didn't know who these guys were. And we sit down with them after we cooked them some food, and most of them just wanted cereal, ironically. And find out who these guys were. Oh yeah, my blah blah blah. Here's your names. Oh yeah, we're with SEAL Team 3. Oh, okay. We had no idea why they were there. And then they were on board for 2 or 3 days, something like that, and they were just hanging out. And we had to cook them food all the time. We got to know them a little bit. And then all of a sudden, we find out that what we didn't find out. The ship made a big 180. All of a sudden, it turns around and it goes full throttle, the opposite direction. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I've never seen the ship move that fast. And what we were doing is we were working with the Spanish Navy, and I guess they had intercepted some sort of a transmission, or I don't know, whatever it was, that there was a North Korean supply ship, disguised as a South Korean supply ship that was moving towards Yemen. And Yemen had just signed a treaty with the United States saying that they wouldn't have any like weapons of mass destruction, whatever you want to call those. And in this case, Scud missiles, which are huge missiles. You know,
Damn, those
like
things are enormous.
yeah, it's like what you see in like Superman 2 or something like that. And anyways, we had on board the ship, we had the 24th MEU, which is the 24th Marine Expeditionary Unit, which had a recon unit on board. And they were, you know, they're pretty much like Navy SEALs. And they were all geared up, ready to go for the mission. And so they were all geared up, ready to fucking take over this other ship. And then they flew on Navy SEAL Team 3. And the Marines were pissed because they wanted that mission. They were sitting on board the ship for a long time, not doing anything. Ever since, before that, they also went into Somalia and killed some people. I'm not really sure what happened with that. But anyways, the ship was intercepted, and they SEAL Team 3 went on board, and they found all of these Scud. I think there was 12 of them in total, and that's kind of what we were told. I don't know exactly what happened, because after that, SEAL Team 3 was gone. They went off to do the next thing, and that was in it's called the Plan of the Day, the POD. So you get a POD every single day. Everyone's allowed to see it, and in the POD, it tells you what happened the day before, and it said that you are not allowed to talk about this. But it was like, here's a piece of paper. You can't talk about it. So I actually have that at my parents' house in my cruise book as proof that it happened. And that they said it almost started World War III. I don't think that's fucking true that it would have started a war, but that's just one experience.
A little part of history that you were a part of there.
Oh, I've got more than that. Way more. I've got stories all day long.
Sure. That's awesome, man.
Oh, and so the last stream that I was on when I was on camera was on Crumb's stream, you know, and I was talking all about electricity, and Bob was on there and stuff. And Crumb is all about wanting to go to Antarctica and take a whole bunch of boats there. And I tried to explain that that's not a good idea, because this is kind of PG. If you take a small boat and bring it up to a military ship and you get too close, they will gun you the fuck down. I saw that happen. There was about 10 people on board one of these small fishing ships.
Well, yeah, they don't know what kind. That thing could be loaded with all kinds of explosives or whatnot. They don't know what's on that ship. I'm sure they gave them bunches of warnings and were yelling, you know. They didn't just wait till they got close and then open fire. I'm sure they let them know beforehand, hey, you need to stop.
Well, yeah, the Navy does not do warning shots. The Army does. The Navy has big signs on the side of the ship in Farsi and Arabic. They say, if you get too close, we will open fire. And they kept getting close, and I saw these 25 millimeter guns. So on the side, on the port and starboard side of the ship, there's a 25 millimeter cannon 3 times, along with a 50 caliber and a M60. So there's 3 on each side.
It's like
3,
almost 3 9mm wide.
Right.
That's
and,
a
you want to see something
round.
crazy? Holy shit.
Wow.
The most powerful fucking gun that has ever been created. I'll show you this. Almost all Navy ships have one of these. It's called a CWIS. CWIS. Let me show you the right one. Go ahead and keep talking while I'm looking for this.
Is this the little like a
It's not little.
Gatlin? No. Well, no, not
I'd be
little,
like a 120 Miller.
Is it the Gatlin?
Yeah, it's a
type?
Gatling gun. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, these are amazing. They shoot projectiles right out of the air, don't they? Are these the ones you're talking about?
Yeah. So every Navy ship is required to have, not required. Large Navy ships, like the one I was on, had 2 of those, and they also had something called a RAM launcher, which is a rotating automatic missile launcher, and those are designed for shooting down aircraft. The CWIS is designed for shooting down incoming missiles. And an example of that can be seen in the movie, it's with Ben Affleck and Morgan Freeman. I can't remember the name of the movie.
I
Where-
forget.
yeah,
Yeah, where
when-
he's Jack Ryan. It's
Something
one of
like-
those types of movies. Yeah.
Yeah, when Russia like comes in and they shoot a whole bunch of missiles at a ship, and the Sea Whizzes activate and they shoot down like half of them, but still half the missiles hit the ship.
Yeah, that was a
Well,
crazy scene.
that's a real
Sea
kind of
Whiz in
weapon.
action. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, I've seen these things shoot, and while I'm looking for the correct one here we go. Okay, so everyone has probably seen the movie 300, where they talk about the phalanx, right? The phalanx is basically just meaning like the shield barrier that soldiers had created, and well, this is called. I'll just.
Yeah,
sorry.
Nathan, commercial sound and video, put that in chat. The phalanx gun.
Right, but this is this one particularly. I'll put it in chat if anyone wants to share it. I mean, I can share it if you guys want.
I'll bring it up. Oh yeah, I think I saw this one.
Well, this shows you what the power of a machine gun can do. These are 25 millimeter rounds. This is a nighttime video. This is in Iraq.
Jeez, look at all that. And those are just the tracing rounds.
That's every fourth round.
Yeah, that's
Jeez. Oh my god. That's
Look at that
spray. My wow. That's unreal. Oh wow. Every fourth round. The barrage of rounds heading your way.
Man, that is awesome.
So what's that? Send out 1,000 rounds at a time?
3,000 rounds a minute.
I was gonna say, are those guns like say on like the gunships, like the C-130 Hercules, they retrofit and whatnot?
Yeah, very similar.
Damn.
I don't think the C-130s actually use that size, but they're pretty similar. But then again, I'm not in the Air Force, so
yeah.
I've been out of the military for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh, I can tell you guys about stories about this shit all day long. I've seen some crazy stuff, and that's
We're
not
gonna
even.
have to have you on one day, Andrew. We're gonna have to have you as the main guest, so you can get in here a little bit earlier.
Oh yeah, no problem. I mean, I've got all kinds of stuff to talk about, and yeah, Zach, I've got some amazing stuff I want to talk to you about in regards to electricity, because you're doing some really, amazing stuff that I've been trying to do myself, but I haven't had the time because of my work schedule.
Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight, but yeah, definitely, man. We can. Well, yeah, we'll have you on, and we'll do just let us know when would like a Friday that would be good for you, and we will get something set up.
Anytime on the weekend, Friday through Sunday, because I have Friday through Sunday off, and then anytime after 6 p.m. or West Coast time.
Yeah, that's about West Coast time, so about 9 o'clock then. East
For
Coast.
you, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I guess you'll be a later guest because we always start a little bit earlier. We're usually wrapping it up about 9:30. We have shows that do go 4 or 5 hours, but we do start about 6:30 our time, which is about 3:30 your time.
Oh yeah, sometimes I'm like way awake at like 2 in the morning, and I'll try and join you guys in, but I'm like, oh fuck, I'm about to go to bed.
But yeah, we will definitely have to get together.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to become a little more active online. I'm not trying to be such a hermit anymore.
Well, yeah, this is a good place to,
wade into the waters, dip your toes.
Yeah, dip your toes in. We don't bite here. We're pretty laid back.
Yeah, I started off on Nathan Oakley's show, but that wasn't so welcoming.
Yeah, it's a little different over there.
Yeah.
A little different.
We like to pretend to be the other end of that spectrum.
You fucking wanker! Shut up, bitch!
Yeah,
Even
don't
though a lot of
spend too
people he
much
says
time
that to
over
deserve
there.
it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's about it for me, gentlemen. It's come up on 10:30.
Yeah, it's getting there for me as well.
Yeah, I've got a tired girlfriend, and I think she may be asleep at wake her up.
Gotcha.
Go to bed.
The best thing to fall asleep to.
Well, thank
Mark
you
Sargent.
very much for having me, guys. I hope
ironrealmedia@gmail.com. Is that right, gentlemen?
Yes.
Well, I'm in your Telegram, so I'll definitely be
hanging
out with you guys more. Hopefully, I wasn't too like slurring my speech or anything, because I'm about 6 beers in, I think.
You were excellent, man.
Yeah.
All right.
If
anything, it loosened you up, and we got to meet more of you than we would have,
Oh, yeah, and next time I'll be on camera. But the last time I was on camera, I was using my webcam on Crumb's his podcast, All About Electricity, when Bob chimed in. I listened back, and my audio was shit. So
you sound good tonight.
Yeah, I'm on a headphone or headset tonight.
Nope, good stuff. Good stuff. I really appreciate you coming to hang out with us.
Yeah, I will definitely be joining you guys again.
Good deal.
Awesome, brother.
Effie Nation,
Sounds
I did
good.
see your comment earlier about dropping the phone number, and that I kind of knew once Andrew came in, we were going to run out of time. That's the only reason I didn't throw it up there for you. Otherwise, I absolutely would have. So maybe if we get some time next week with Billy Ray Valentine, I'll throw that number out. You can call in and we can call back to tonight's show or talk about whatever the hell it is you want to talk about, because that's what we like to do here. So I apologize I didn't get to it tonight. Andrew B, much appreciated. Ted, thanks so much for coming to hang out. That was really good stuff.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me on board here. That was really cool getting to chat with everybody and having Tommy on here for a bit. And I saw he just ducked out. But
Yeah, thank you, Tommy. If you're still there.
Yeah.
I know he was driving and working and
oh no, he's a busier guy than I am. I'm like, holy crap. how he does this thing and his activism and all that. I'm like, cheers to you, man.
No kidding.
And thanks for Andrew sharing your stories and your insight. It's just good to hear like information from all ends here. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, thank you, Ted. I'm not sure if I have influenced anyone in one way or the other, but you definitely influenced me a little bit when it comes to that, the jet fuel thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I do appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
There you go. See, Ted? I told you. That was a great presentation, man.
Wow. The complete 180 from last night.
No, I'm not completely convinced. I'm just saying that you.
Yeah.
No. I was saying last night doing a thing on Karen's channel, and I was just a big sloppy mess.
We hope to breed skepticism.
That's what we should do.
And normally I'm very active in chat. I apologize. I was presenting and talking tonight, so I have not listened to seen very much about people that were doing anything in chat on Rockfin or YouTube, but normally I'm pretty active.
Yeah, we have a pretty laid back chat too. It's nice.
That's Walt's job. Where's Walt?
Yeah. I know he had something with the kitties happen. I'd seen something pop up a little while back.
Oh, whatever.
Well, all right, gentlemen. I guess that's about it, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Ted, that was awesome, man. Great presentation.
Thanks,
I'd like to see it done a couple more times, a couple more places. You need to start, putting your name out there and say, hey, you mind if I jump on and just share something? Yeah. Because people need to see this stuff. We need to, make sure we all do our due diligence research. And if we're not going to do it, listen to somebody who's done some research. And at least hear them out.
And I promise the next time I come back, I'm not going to just show videos. I'm actually going to show you something that I know.
All right. Sounds good, Andrew.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure. As always, you guys help make this just an amazing show. I really do need to start streaming our live chat over there on our podcast channel, just because it's a show in and of itself. just watching you guys interact. It's fucking awesome. I love it. Otherwise, you guys have a great weekend. Don't forget to check us out on Mondays. What the hell? Where did that come from? We don't do anything ever on Mondays, so don't bother checking us out. But on Tuesdays, come check us out. We do a thing on Tuesdays and Friday mornings, 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Central. The Ironworx. And we broadcast that all sorts of places. And then tune in next Friday night. We will have Billy Ray Valentine on, and we're going to have a really good conversation. I think you're going to want to tune in to hear some of the amazing, amazing things that he's been working on back behind the scenes. So until then, you guys, be good, be well, have a great weekend. It's a long 3-day weekend for me. Workers of the world unite. Long live democracy and all that good stuff. Good night, guys.
Fucking Republic.
Love y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Love y'all.
Peace.
Please make me feel fine.